What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the He's on Fire podcast, the After Dark Show, Ep.6. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a lot to go over, and let's bring in the other host, Amit. Amit, how you doing, man?
Again, I'm still got a little cough from COVID, but I'm doing much better than I have been. But dude, we only did 6 episodes. That's it. That's crazy. I thought we
Yeah,
did more.
we've been spacing them out, just because of like
Yeah.
time and stuff. So, yeah, like we did we were good for the first like 3 weeks and stuff, and then we spaced it out like 2 weeks, and then like another 2 weeks. It's
Yeah.
totally cool. I mean, fuck it,
Yeah, man. I mean, we'll do them when we do them, right? And we're gonna make them good when we do them.
Exactly, right. And it builds up more topics for us to tackle and stuff. And I mean, we're fully loaded today with stuff to talk about. Let's just dive into it. Some father time stuff. This would be equal to like everything that's going on in the news right now, I guess. Has there been anything crazy going on in dad life?
Bro, I didn't even tell you. So, my wife's in Seattle visiting her best friends. So I'm doing daddy daycare this whole weekend by myself with 2 kids, with a toddler and another, rambunctious 6-year-old. So I had no plan. Like my wife's like, "What's your plan? Like, what are you gonna do this weekend?" I'm just like thinking, I'm like, "Can you call a babysitter? Can you do this? Can whatever?" Right? Like I'm expecting her to do it for me. Just trying to figure it out. Then like Friday 5 o'clock, I'm like, "Shit!" I'm calling people. I'm like, "Yo, can we get a play date going?" Just trying to figure it out, right? Like I don't know what I'm gonna do to feed these kids, to entertain these kids for the next 60 hours. Like I'm just like, what the fuck am I gonna do?
Yeah.
So, it's not something that other parents haven't faced. And shots to the single mothers that do this shit with like only by themselves, where I'm like trying to figure it out without my wife. Like I call my wife and I'm like, what do I feed our daughter? Because I don't even know. Like she gives me the food and I give it to the baby, right? And I'm like, how do I make this shit? So I'm like, it's all we gotta. There's caretakers, and then there's like the real caretakers, right?
Right.
So, props to them. Apologize again. But no. So I took my son to go see Minions: Rise of the Gru. So the movie is like it's cool. So the soundtrack is awesome. I would suggest everybody, if you got Spotify, go listen to that soundtrack. It's because the movie takes place in the 70s, and it has some really awesome music the whole way through, with the characters, their own theme music, and then the original music that's like remastered for the movie. Awesome. Movie, it's whatever. It's a kids movie. But then I watched Minions, or I'm sorry, no, Despicable Me with my son today, and that movie slaps, bro. Like when you compare it to like what they're making now, they're just like making like derivatives of like these other movies. Like that movie is the original movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it really ties together. Because like in all these other movies, it's the minions by themselves and they do stupid shit, comedy, like physical comedy, and we laugh. But in that movie, it was like tied to the children. So it was a good mix of like physical comedy with the children. Like it just worked really well. And I feel like the whole Despicable Me like franchise has kind of dropped off big time as it's gone on. They had a really, and I don't know what you do, because like the original movie is kind of unique in its own, and then they made sequels, and then they made the Minions, and then they did a prequel, and it's just like I don't know, man. Like so I don't know if you have opinions about Despicable Me or Minions. Like, what do you think? Who's your favorite Minion?
Probably Kevin.
Kevin?
Yeah, Kevin's really funny. But dude, like after the first one was so good. The first one was so good with Vector and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
the assistant too, the old guy. He was
Yeah.
like the
Dr. Nefario?
yeah Nefario. Yeah, like the boogie robots. That shit gets me every time. So the cookie robots and
That guy ate a cookie robot. Vector ate part of a cookie robot, and
and
he
he's
didn't
just like
suspect anything.
like Vector was so funny in that movie, and just everything too. And then Miranda Cosgrove doing,
Yeah.
the voice acting and stuff. Like it was really entertaining, especially for me. And dude, the cast was crazy, and I love the story of the first one. The second one, it was a little unnecessary for me, and then they started to get into like the Minion movies and stuff, and then the Minion craze happened. Just like you just saw Minion stuff everywhere, and
Yeah.
I just didn't get it. Like I loved the first movie, but I just didn't think it would get the hype that it did. I mean, Steve Carell's great, Miranda Cosgrove's great, Dr. Nefario's great, whoever voices him, but I just never really got it. But I did hear Rise of Gru was entertaining. I might check it out when it gets added to like a streaming service or something. But if my daughter was a little bigger, I'll probably take her. But
Yeah.
she likes Despicable Me. I've played it for her, and she'll watch it. But
I mean, the physical comedy is just awesome, and then there's a lot of adult humor in that movie that just makes it really good. You know what I mean? I mean, the kids are just the kids make the movie. Those
yeah.
three children, they make the movie.
Uh, Thanks, Westville. Appreciate that. What's going on, Sonia? How are you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, I'll catch Rise or Gru whenever I get the chance. But I saw Prey. It came out on Hulu. I've been really looking forward to this movie. It's a Hulu original, which it kind of worried me, but the Predator franchise, it's very mediocre. So my expectations weren't too high going
Yeah.
into it. And the original is, top tier. And
Yeah.
Predators, the one that came out, I think it was 2012 with the guy from that 70s show, and I forget his name. And
Which guy?
Eric,
Oh, the redhead? Or
the main guy.
oh, Topher Grace?
I think that's his name. But
Yeah.
yeah, he was in there, and a bunch of other people, and that movie was really good. But going into this one, I loved the setting of it being a little before the Manifest Destiny in the 1700s and stuff, and it's before the Europeans really took over the West, and so it's just natives and stuff. And I love how they did. I think it's Cherokee, the native tongue and tribe that's based off of, and they made two versions. They made the English version and a straight native version too, which I thought was really cool.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, so I watched it and it was tight. like it was a lot of people were complaining about how the ending and how she took out Predator. I mean, every Predator movie ends practically the same way, and they were complaining about her like using basically just like not weapons and use whatever she had around her, and people were complaining about like they didn't do that in the first movie. Well, in the first movie, Arnold realized, like the guns and stuff isn't going to work or anything. So he used like bow and arrows. He covered himself in mud. He lured them to like fires and stuff. And like you can obviously tell like some people didn't, or haven't seen the first movie in a very long time and forgot some details, but they were very similar. And there was a nod to Predator 2. I don't know if you remember Predator 2, where Predator handed I forget the actor's name a old like revolver and have like writing on it, and
Yeah.
that revolver shows up in this movie as well. I thought it was really well done. The fighting choreography is really good. And Predator, he's not like nerfed. It's like his first time visiting Earth, so he's just going after the apex predator and stuff. And
Yeah.
the whole movie, he doesn't see her as a apex or threatening predator. So like her brother got knocked, one of the best hunters in the tribe. Like just the killings in it were brutal and stuff, and like if very bare bones predator, freaky as hell. Like it was a really good movie. It's definitely up there with the first one. I think the first one's still a lot better.
Dude, the problem with the Predator movies, I feel like anybody that's made a Predator movie didn't watch the actual first movie. Like all
Right?
all
Yeah.
the sequels, I'm like what are you guys doing? Like it has nothing to do with what like the original movie was. You know what I mean? It's just like it doesn't capture the same essence that movie did. Maybe and I have to watch Prey. I don't know. Like maybe that captures it. But all these sequels, like Predator versus Alien, like that's stupid. That was so stupid.
Yeah, uh, I showed my girl Alien Covenant, and that's one of the newer Alien movies, and
Yeah.
she loves it. It's a really good movie. It's shot beautifully. The scenery is really dope, and Comanche. That's what it was. That's what it was. Thank you, Coda. And yeah, that movie shot really tight, and like I like the 1980s aliens, but there's little to no action throughout those movies. It only happens like it's like a 2.5 hour long movie each one of those, and then like you maybe get maybe 45 minutes of alien fights and
Yeah.
stuff. So that's always been my biggest beef with them. But that movie was definitely ahead of its time. But like I've always liked him just as a sci-fi person. You know, I always found him really interesting and like I feel like if an alien was going to come here, I mean, that isn't out of the realm of possibility. A predator
Yeah.
or a straight up xenomorph. So,
Yeah.
but what did you like better, Alien or Predator? Like as a kid,
Alien.
Alien.
I like Alien better.
I feel like that's most people's
Yeah.
answers and stuff. Uh,
Yeah. I think Alien would just it was just so they're they're different movies because because like Predator was it was more like they're both like sci-fi thrillers, right? But I
mhm.
think just the intensity of like the action when Sigourney Weaver when the guy's like he's 5 meters, 3 meters, 2 meters, like it was just like it was like and then you see the freaking alien come out of this guy's stomach, like that shit
It
is
was great
just
horror. Yeah,
yeah, it's just like ingrained in my brain. As a
yeah.
little kid, like you can't forget that shit.
That's one of the things with Alien that always stuck with me. Predator, it's like it's one thing, but like a xenomorph, and then they just how they'll just like distinctively like leave eggs and
Yeah,
stuff, and they hatch through you, and like their blood is like poison or not poison. It's basically acid, so like if you get it on you, it just burns through you, and like
yeah,
everything about a xenomorph is absolutely terrifying.
yeah, yeah. It is.
Yeah, I love the Alien movies. I'll probably get an Alien poster in here for the game room. But yeah, I really enjoyed Prey. I suggest you watch it. I thought it was really cool. Yeah, let's just dive into sports. Not really much going on right now. The Cardinals,
Yeah.
put on a whooping against Cincinnati. Greg Dortch looks great. Our running back room looks really good as well. And then our backup QB, I forget his name. It's not Cole. Cole didn't play,
Oh,
but
Trace,
yeah, Trace. He looked really good.
did he?
Like, yeah, he was slinging them. So everybody looks good. I only watched like the first quarter, but I was keeping up with the scores, and everyone looked good. Uh, a thought came to me. A lot of people were saying Zayvon Collins is off. Like it's preseason. I'm not going to kill him, but we're going to have to rely on him in a couple weeks. So maybe we explore options to try to acquire Raekwon Smith from Chicago because he's up on the trading block now. I mean, we might have to give up a little more than we want to, but if we can fix our linebacker situation, I mean, might as well pick him up.
I'll give
What
up
do
a third round pick. I'll give up
you,
even a second round pick for Roquan Smith. To add that sort of talent to that linebacking core. But that's not the problem for me. We need to sign a cornerback or two cornerbacks, at least two cornerbacks, veteran cornerback. Robert Alford's still out there. Xavier Rhodes still out there. Somebody, I think Johnny Venerable or somebody had a list of like six guys like that. You're just like these guys at one point were like somewhat all pro players. So why are they still available? You know what I mean? I mean, I think we need to sign at least two cornerbacks.
oh, Sonia pointed out that you flipped your sign around. What's that
I
about?
know, I had to. It's just getting too far to that point. I'm like what? I mean, look, we re-signed this guy, number 22. He's back on the team.
That's a great
We
jersey.
got options for things we can do. Still, we can pivot. We can do the same thing where the Cardinals are just waiting to sign a quarterback. We can go and sign Schroeder. Like he's out there. So I think we're still looking good. I think we're still a 56 plus win team in the regular
Mhm.
season. Playoffs, I don't know what that means yet for this team, especially with but like we got till February to know what this team's going to be about. So I flipped it around because I feel like we're headed in the right direction and we're not doing stupid things.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't want to hold my breath about this KD stuff because it's so weird. I mean, just yesterday, some New York reporters were like, "Oh, KD has interest in Boston and Philly as a possible destinations and stuff," and like everything is at the same level. All these reports and sources are at the same level until they're proven true or otherwise. So no one is more credible than the other because we have no idea. Like Flex is at the same level as like Ian Rappaport in a sense. I mean, we're not getting a lot of Suns attention in a sense as like serious contenders, but I still feel like we're really in this race and considering that KD put us at his number one destination, I feel like we're still in the race until it's all said and done. But it worries me about the whole Sean Marks and Steve Nash thing, possible firing or not. I don't know what your
It won't
thoughts.
happen. It won't happen because so we know the owner came out and backed his front office. They signed Sean Marks to an extension. So if you let Kevin Durant fire Steve Nash at this point, how are you going to get anybody to come to play for this team? Like,
Right?
in my perspective, it's just like you don't have control over the team at that point as an owner. Like Kevin Durant is basically the owner at that point. If he can get somebody fired, so Kevin Durant has to be traded
Yeah,
at this point. He's going to be moved, right?
he has to be on the move. Like I don't see him staying at this point.
It would
Uh,
take another meeting and something really miraculous to happen for him to be like, okay, I can stick it out. And at the same time, Kyrie Irving is not going to be on this team either. Like, that's what I keep saying every time we talk about this subject. Like, Sean Marks doesn't realize he's in a total rebuild. He thinks he can compete for a championship. He is
right.
not. You are in a full rebuild, bro. You don't know that. Like,
Yeah, but
like what you traded to get James Harden. You traded your entire all your prospects to get Harden. Then you flip that for Ben Simmons, only Ben Simmons and like Seth Curry, I think it was the other pick, the other player. Like, and that guy can't play. Like, none of your guys can play. You have like three top 25 players. None of them will play for you.
and now like the argument is on the flip side of that is like people on like Sports Center and stuff are really saying like this Nets team right now currently if KD stays on it is the best team that he's had, and I'm like, yeah,
I mean, are you talking about the Warriors? Have you ever heard of the Warriors?
I know.
Like,
Well,
even
just
the
like
even,
the
yeah,
best Nets team that they've had since KD and Kyrie's tenure since they've joined.
no, it's not,
Yeah, it's
because if
not
you took this Nets team versus that James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant team that was favored to win the championship, this team is not favored to win the championship. So
I
he's
don't
not
know if
even
I
on the
could
best
put
Nets team.
yeah, I don't even think I could put on captions, Sonia. I'm sorry. I've not looked into that. She's at the
Do
bar
a shot
watching
for
us.
us,
That's
though. Can you do a
dedication.
shot for us?
Oh yeah. Should we give her a recommendation?
I'm gonna go Jameson.
Jameson. All right,
Yeah.
Sonia Jameson.
In
You should
fact, you
get
know
some
what?
AirPods, Sonia.
I got some Jameson right here. I'm gonna do a shot for you, and hopefully you do one for me.
I have some Fanta. I'll
Hmm.
put this down a little bit. Woo! I like Jameson. Jameson is like smoky. I like the
Yeah.
smokiness. It's nice. But yeah, like I don't think Joe Tsai is gonna fire either of them. Katie's 34 now, and I think they rather take the L and start over and just go from there and get whatever assets as they can without ruining the reputation. And I'm not saying this as a Suns fan, but like send him where he wants to go and try to get whatever you can. I mean,
like take away like what happened with Gobert, right? The best deal that's ever happened probably for any team is that Anthony Davis, when he was 25 years old and with only like a year left on his contract, right? KD has 4 years left on his contract. He basically was like, look, I'm gonna walk, I'll sit out, or you guys can trade me and get whatever you want from the Lakers. The Lakers traded their entire core and every draft pick and every swap to get him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant's not worth that. Like, let's be real. He's not worth that. He's 34 years old. Like, even if he came to the Suns, are we expecting the Suns to win 4 straight championships?
No.
I would think 1, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So, like, it's not, and I forget it, like what, like Anthony Davis, because like his whole thing, street clothes, his whole thing, but like, if he would have stayed healthy, like that team would have been at least been competing. They would have at least made the playoffs. Fucking Christ, the Lakers didn't make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like, it's not the same thing. Like what they're thinking they're gonna get that that was given up for Gobert is not happening. That deal's not happening. The Anthony Davis deal is not happening. You're basically doing like a Charles Barkley. I'm gonna give you some expirings, maybe some first round picks. That's it. And you take it and you like it. That's it. That's all you're getting because you're in a rebuild. What are you going to do? And honestly, tell me, what are the Nets going to do with Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson? Those guys are role players. They're not going to be all-star players. Maybe Mikal has potential, and I'm not. Cam has potential too. Maybe to be an all-star player if he can work some stuff like in his playmaking and off the dribble and getting better a little bit defensively and being playing like a power forward / small ball 5, if he can adapt to that position, that can get him into all-star consideration. But you're the upside on these guys is the ceiling is lower than if you take the draft picks, because the draft picks give you opportunity to get something better. And you're not going to build your team around Mikal Bridges or Cam Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Especially when these guys are not 22. These guys are 25, 26 years old.
Yeah,
they're not like, unless you can somehow flip it for Zion, that seems like different. The only thing that could make it work, right?
Right. Yeah, like with all these other teams in the conversation, like the Philly one really makes no sense to me because what would Philly send? Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey. Like Tobias, he's inconsistent. He's not a number 1. He's probably not even a number 2. So
he is demoted to like maybe 6 man at this point.
Yeah, like I used to be high on Tobias back in the day when he was with the Clippers because he was really good on the Clippers.
He was good on the Clippers, yeah.
Yeah, and like he's just not the same guy anymore. And I don't know if it's the Embiid system, but like Jimmy Butler was able to thrive with Embiid, so I just don't know what's up with him. And then with the Raptors, like Scotty Barnes isn't in the conversation because the Raps want to keep him, but OG Anunoby, Siakam's not even in the conversation. Gary Trent, and then maybe Van Fleet, maybe. And it's like, and I keep on going back to the Suns one. You have a defensive player of the year runner up. He probably should have won it. Yep. And with a somewhat deep offensive back, a really good 3-and-D, probably one of the better ones in the league. And then you have Cam Johnson,
best 3-point shooter in the NBA.
Yeah, probably has arguably a higher ceiling if he puts some weight on. He's going to be entering his prime soon. He plays a pretty good D. He can guard 4 positions, and he had statistically one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. Like if I was Sean Marks, that would be the thing that I'd trade on. But with Boston, too, with the Jaylen Brown talks, I don't think Boston appreciates the Nets leaking that Boston trade. So I don't think they even want to deal with that on Boston's perspective.
I mean, the Nets really fucked themselves because and I was trying to look it up because at some point, I don't know if you know this, but Sean Marks played on the Suns.
Yeah.
In 2007 or 8 or something. He was on the Sun, so he knows James Jones. He has a relationship with Nash. He has a relationship with these guys at ESPN as well. Windhorst, Woj, and Sham, Windhurst and Shams. Or no, sorry, Woj. Shams with the Athletic. So there, a lot of what like people are picking up on is like these guys are trying to like spin these stories in the Nets' favor, but what they're doing is making the Nets look like complete assholes by sharing information that they shouldn't be sharing.
Right.
You know, so I'm just like, this is. I mean, we keep saying this. The longer this goes on, you're going to end up with Torrey Craig, Landry Shamet, campaign, 3 first-round picks or 4 first-round picks. You're not getting. You may not even get Cam Johnson or Mikal at that point. You may get Dario. That's it. Like you may get Dario.
The quicker they bite, the more that they can get from us, man. And
yeah,
I'm willing to give up Cam Johnson. Mikal is iffy, but if we're talking about KD, like I'll drive him to the airport, you know. So
I just can't. I can't give up both of them. I can give up one of them. And I would rather give up Cam.
Yeah, same. Like I think Cam Johnson has a higher ceiling, you know, and like I wish Sean Marks viewed it that way. I mean, same thing with Aiden too. Like if I was Sean Marks,
stupid for not looking at Aiden at all
and signed Claxton, and I'm like, okay, I guess.
Well, this is the same guy that traded away Jared Allen in the Harden deal. Who?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, Allen is a prospect. Like he's good, dude.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big Jared Allen.
Was he an All-Star? I think he was an All-Star this year, actually.
I believe so. I think he was one last year too.
Jesus Christ! So you wanted an All-Star for KD, but you traded an All-Star for Harden. Good job, bro. Good job.
It's just poor managing and stuff, and like it's not all on Sean Marks' like fault. Like I'll give it to him. Kyrie was weird. KD got hurt a couple times. It's just a time it never worked, but it's a collective effort of how bad things got. It's not someone directly, you know. Like I love Kyrie, like he's one of the best players I've ever seen in my life. But dude is so hard to manage. And then the way that James Harden got to Brooklyn was not something you wanted to be a part of. And I'm surprised Brooklyn and Sean Marks bid on that. And I know KD and Kyrie had those conversations and stuff, but like us on the pod, we said it right when it happened. Like we don't see this working. Three ball dominant players. I mean, we know KD's going to be KD, but with Kyrie and James Harden sharing the rock, like we just don't see it happening. And considering the supporting cast around, we just didn't see it happening. And what do you know? You fast forward to now.
Well, the interesting thing about KD is that you can drop him in the Suns, and they'll fucking dominate. Like, there's not going to be any sort of like, oh, like you're supposed to go here, you're supposed to go there. It's going to work if he buys into the system. Can you imagine like that elbow action when they run the double elbows with
ridiculous
Booker and KD with Chris Paul on top with DeAndre Ayton send the pick, and Mikal or whoever's in the corner, like that's unstoppable. Like you cannot stop that.
And then like if KD joins us, he doesn't have to play 40 minutes a night. Like he can play 30, 35.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like Sean Marks, you know, we're trying to help you out here. I think we have it figured out, but you get paid the big bucks, you know, you can probably figure it out, but you know, just rip off the Band-Aid. Just let it happen, dude. I'm sick of going on Twitter and seeing nothing. And all these rumors.
So let me say one last thing about this. So like the news that got leaked that where they're saying like KD had this ultimatum where you know, one of these guys had to be fired. That's straight from the Nets.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty fucked, actually. Like, because you're throwing him under the bus. And Flex has had some really good points about this. So I'm just going to give him shots and just repeat what he said. Is that we can trade Cam Johnson. We can trade Mikal Bridges, guys that are under contract for over 5 years. Not Cam, but at least Mikal is this year plus the next 4, right? We're okay with that. Like the owner's okay, the fan base is okay. But if a player asks to leave the team and says, "I want to play here," we get upset, right? As a fan base. And what's like, isn't there something wrong with that? Especially because if like Jay Crowder, like he put all that stuff on Twitter and he's like, change or whatever. But Jay Crowder doesn't have the leverage that Kevin Durant has. Kevin Durant has all the leverage.
Right.
He is like top 5 player in the NBA. He can say wherever he wants to play, he can go there. LeBron can do that. There's certain guys that can do that. Like, why are we upset when the owners can just do whatever they want?
Exactly.
Like
exactly. I mean, you're signing a contract, and I view it as like a half commitment in a sense. I think it like you should still have the option of like employee empowerment or player empowerment in a sense. You should be able to dictate what's going on, like with your personal life or you not being happy in a current situation. You should be able to leave. And you have to be accommodating. You have to meet in the middle. A contract, I think, it's just, especially when we're talking about sports, it's like a money commitment in a sense. If you're here for X amount of time, you get X amount, and anything that happens in the middle, we'll talk about it when it comes. But, breaching contract, people have been kind of blowing that out of proportion. I mean, like I probably won't work, like if I was a professional athlete and I had to, sign a long-term contract like that, I'll definitely be worrisome about it. And I think when KD signed that extension, he probably got a commitment from Kyrie that he was going to be more available and all that stuff, and he hasn't gotten that. And then Steve Nash isn't working out. Then obviously he doesn't have a good relationship with Sean, so like it gets to a point where you want to leave before everything boils over and have like an oil fire in your kitchen and you're trying to put it out with water.
It's rough, bro. It's rough. Like I want to keep talking sports because I love talking sports with you, but we should probably move on.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you've been in the loop about everything that's been going on with HBO and Warner Bros. And stuff, but Warner Bros. Is under new management. Zaslav took the reign and stuff, and one of the first things he did was cut Batgirl and Scoob and some other projects from coming out. And a lot of people were very, very scared and disappointed about all that stuff that happened. And I was really excited to see the Batgirl movie. It's been in production for a while, and
they spent $90 million to this point on that movie, and they said, "Fuck it, we're not even going to release it."
So I did some further research, and some people, like I think it was about 50 people that had got early access and watched the movie in its entirety, and basically the reviews were dog shit. And so the studio, before Zaslav took over, didn't have faith in the movie to begin with. When Zaslav finally saw the outlook of it, he wasn't too pleased about it. And like they saw the finished product and weren't satisfied with it. And knowing Warner Bros. From the past, they would just put it out anyway, and just roll the dice. And like Zaslav taking over is like the first time I've seen Warner Bros. Take charge of just their industry and what they put out. I mean, this shows a sign of leadership because they've put out a lot of mediocre stuff through the last decade, and I'm glad Zaslav was like, all right, enough is enough. We have a certain vision here, and we want to change the narrative that's surrounding us. And now he made DC Studios its own thing. They didn't have their own production company. It was something that Warner Bros. Just dipped their hand in every once in a while, like, oh, okay, let's do a Superman movie, or let's, it was just dipping their hand in the cookie jar anytime they needed to put out a DC movie. So now DC Studios has their own company, and now Zaslav had it was like an executives meeting and stuff. It was like during like a Zoom call and stuff. He was basically breaking down what their plans are going forward. and he talked about how HBO Max and Discovery are going to be combining. They're going to cut some shows. It's not going to be a lot. It's going to be some that weren't bringing in the numbers. Harley Quinn already got greenlit for season 4. Ratings are crazy on that, so Harley Quinn isn't going anywhere. Peacemaker is not going anywhere, thank God. And just a bunch of their other shows too are staying, and then Discovery shows are coming as well. And that would be announced on a later date with them two collabing and also. And he also mentioned how he wants to go about things with DC Studios now, and he basically wants to do the Kevin Feige 10-year sort of map out. Which I mean, it works, dude. Like everything connects. You have a committed cast. You have nerds in the back that are putting everything together, and everything makes sense. I mean, this is why Marvel is superior to anything else that's out right now. I mean, Marvel's the talk of the town every year because of the stuff that they
But
put
is
out.
it though? But is Marvel really there? Because look, like, let's be real. Like, Endgame was peak.
Yeah,
Endgame was the peak shit. Everything since then has been like we're trying to get back to Endgame, but it's not even that cool. Like WandaVision was cool. Captain Winter Soldier was like cool. They were different. It was a different like sort of like because you can't always do the same sort of like comic book like comedy movie, right? Like
right.
meaning like Ragnarok was like different. Ragnarok was funny as fuck. Like that was just a bad cop like good cop sort of thing. That was cool. But like you got to have different genres to the whole thing if you're going to make this massive universe. And like since Endgame, because Endgame everything led to like that one point, and then after Endgame everything has been like fragmented, and it hasn't been good. Like I mean, like I said, like WandaVision's been interesting. Loki was cool. Um, Captain Winter Soldier was good. Uh, those are I think those are the only ones I watched. I didn't even watch like any of the uh um yeah, I didn't watch anything else other than that.
I like what with the Phase 4. Uh, like they were kind of setting up something really big, so it was a lot of filler and sort of trying to explain things really quickly. Like I knew it was going to kind of be like a little boring stage, going into Phase 5 and 6. I mean, like we'll get into it a little bit later, but just more of what Warner Bros is doing, I think, is the right direction, and it's kind of the first thing that we've seen from Warner Bros and DC Studios and all. Um,
But don't you like the fact that there's like not everything is tied to one universe?
yeah, I do.
And I feel like that's what like Marvel's doing too because they're like developing all this multiverse stuff, right? So it makes it an excuse to be like, oh well, this didn't happen in this period, so it's like it's fine, like it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Because like the way they did Endgame, which was phenomenal, like Endgame, fucking badass, right? But and like all those like Infinity War and Civil War and all those movies were awesome. Black Panther, but like when you tie it to this like one universe, like when that big like bad dies, and you're trying to make another big bad, it's kind of like like I don't care.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah, I do. Like it does get a little complex and all. I do understand what you're saying. I'm just a nerd.
No, I mean, and that's what I mean. Like, I like that there's a bunch of different Jokers and a bunch of different Batmans and a bunch of because that's like when I read comic books, like that's what they were. Like they were just a
Yeah.
bunch of different versions. There was this comic. There was this whole series called Elseworlds, right, where they would make Catwoman, put him in the Batman role, and then make Batman Catwoman, and
Mhm.
you would see like or they'd make like Batman the Green Lantern, like just these like versions that are like interesting. Like I want to understand that what that world would look like if that happened. And those comic books are actually my favorite comic books of all the ones I have. Besides the Frank Miller Batmans from the early 2000s. But like I think it's more interesting because I really think that DC has better characters,
They do. They do. 100%.
right? And but they don't know how to use them right.
Yeah.
And I have like a lot of the stuff that's coming out, I have no interest. Like I have no interest in a Flash movie. This Black Adam movie, I have no interest in that either. But obviously, Joker 2, the Batman 2, 100%. I'm gonna be in the theater for those.
So yeah, let's touch on this a little bit then, and Coda, we'll get to your question a little after this DC stuff. But so in your opinion, like how should DC go forward? Like Ezra Miller's, being Ezra Miller and stuff. Like I think the best way to do things is kind of kill everybody off, or in a sense, just kind of put a stop in the road and just start from scratch when it comes to putting together the Justice League again, and start from the strong characters, like get a Superman going, and then maybe get a Batman in a different universe to help with this Justice League stuff, and maybe just go young Justice League, maybe. Like I don't know, like what are your thoughts about it?
I don't even care about the Justice League at this point. I haven't in a long time. I'm more interested in the Margot Robbie, Birds of Prey, the
Mm-hmm.
Harley Quinn universe. Like I like that movie because Peacemaker came out of that.
Yeah,
So like let's create more stuff out of that universe.
more stuff that's
Fuck
canon.
Jared Leto as a Joker. That was terrible. Like
Yeah,
forget that shit. We don't want that. Um, I like the Harley Quinn universe. Let's create more like because they're making a Kite Man spinoff, I think, for that
yeah,
show too, which is gonna be awesome because I love Kite Man. And in fact, they reference Kite Man in Peacemaker,
yeah.
which
They
was
did.
like I remember I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome. I love it. So I want to see more like Peacemaker universe, Harley Quinn universe, uh, the Harley Quinn from the Birds of Prey universe, and then the rest of the characters can fuck themselves off. Like I don't care about any of them. Like I know Dan Duarte said that his favorite Batman is Ben Affleck, and I'm just like, bro, like that's a tough look, right?
Like I am 100% on board with what you're saying. Like I feel like we should put a pause in the Justice League for
Yeah,
a while. Like it just didn't work out. And no one kind of fell attached to the characters and stuff. And I just want to roll with what we have going on with Harley Quinn and the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker and all that. Then Matt Reeves and what he's doing with
yes,
the Batman and stuff, because I rewatched it last week and it's absolutely phenomenal. Didn't feel like 3 hours, and it like the same feeling I got from the first time I watched it and to now, exactly the same. And I like it blows me away every time I watch it. So if and then with Joker 2 coming out in a couple of years, the script is done. They're going to start filming in October. Lady Gaga is going to be, I'm guessing, playing the Harley Quinn in that universe. In a sense, it's going to be
yeah,
taken mostly in place in Arkham Asylum. Before Harley turns and stuff. She's
yeah.
going to be like the therapist, nurse, or whatever, and it's going to be like a musical. And like in my head, it looks like beautiful in my head. Like I'm pumped to see that. Like I love the dark.
I'm okay with like one or two musical numbers, but like if the entire movie is a musical, then I'm out. I'm
I don't
sorry.
think it's going to be that. I don't think the whole thing is going to be a musical. I think maybe 3 to 4 scores or something.
That's too much, even for me, bro.
Mm-mm.
Like even in the boys, in the boys where they had like I think they had like one or two musical scenes. And did you finish the last season?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So they had like what's her name? Kimiko has like a couple like
When
musical.
she
Like
actually
I fast
talked.
forward through those. I fast forward through
Yeah.
those. I didn't watch them. I don't want to see it. This is not the genre for that. I know you're trying to be like abstract and whatever, but I'm like I don't care. Just keep to what you're good at. Don't do try. You're not like the only other thing you can do to really turn me off is to be like fourth wall and be like all of a sudden like Peacemaker or sorry, Homelander is talking to like the camera, then I'm done. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why are we doing musicals? Why are we doing fourth wall breakdowns? Like, let's just keep it to the story. Let's just keep it to what works.
What was the second sort of musical performance? I just remember the Kamiko one.
Maybe there's only one. Maybe I thought there
Okay.
was two. I know it's like when she loses her powers,
Yeah.
right? And then she's in the hospital and she's with Frenchie and they're
Mhm.
like doing that whole thing. Maybe there's only one.
Okay. God, that show was so good, dude. It was
Yeah.
so good. Yeah, we'll talk about that maybe after the show or whatever. We talk about it for a few
Yeah.
minutes. But Warner Bros has a lot on their plate right now. I think they should just hit their strong suits right now. Like let who directed Joker? Do you remember? I don't remember his name.
Uh,
Let me look it up real quick.
Todd Phillips.
Oh, Todd Phillips. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
good job, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like let him do his thing. Let Matt Reeves do his thing, and then either James Gunn or whoever is dealing with the Suicide Squad. I mean, just give him the keys and let's see how that plays out. I mean, James Gunn's doing his thing. Reeves,
And
like,
James Gunn is doing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
yep,
I don't know if you know this, but there's going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy
holiday
holiday
special.
special,
Yep,
which is I don't know what that's going to fucking be like, but that's wild. That is wild.
yeah.
Um, I'm hoping that's something I can share with the family. I don't know if it will be, but I feel
I
like it's
think it
not
will
going to be.
be.
You think so?
Yeah, like Guardians is such like a PG-13 sort of thing, you know. I think it'll be all right.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it's going to be though.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's might as well transition to the stuff with Marvel. San Diego Comic Con happened like 2 weeks ago, and Kevin Feige he announced so many things. Let me see if I can share my screen real quick. Oh shit! I literally like chugged it like a soda.
Yeah. That's
Not
that
really too
hurts.
well here. Oh yeah, let me share my screen real quick.
Um.
All right. So, Kevin Feige announced Phase 5 and Phase 6. Announced a lot of titles. There's going to be other things in different spaces on the timeline going forward. Just stuff that hasn't been announced yet. That we're expecting to like Armor Wars and some of the animated series that are going to be coming out and X-Men possibly. Big question mark on that. But you know all the titles that are coming out right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kang the Conqueror, one of the most OP characters in Marvel. I mean, he's a million miles ahead of Thanos and all that.
Yeah.
Basically, a celestial. We're going into the King Dynasty and finally Secret Wars. And I never thought in my life we would get a Secret Wars comic or just a movie in general because there's so much that is involved with creating Secret Wars. But we'll start from the top of Quantumania, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think this is going to be a pillar movie. It's confirmed that Kang is in it, but I think we might actually see Doom in this. Before we get into Ant-Man and stuff, I mean, Wakanda Forever. Uh, did you have
Okay.
any thoughts about the trailer that you saw?
So that was the greatest trailer I've ever seen in my life. Um,
It's like
Out of
that.
all the trailers I've seen for movies, that was the best. The music was the best. It was so emotional, and there's so much grief. Showing like Chadwick Boseman on like a billboard. Um, I just, I thought it just took me to a whole nother like emotion.
Mhm.
Then like watching like a Star Wars like trailer where I'm like, oh my god, I get more Star Wars shit. But like this was different. It was like there was a bunch of emotions I had watching it. You know, um, I'm that's the only thing I'm looking forward to for Marvel right now is
Mhm.
that movie, because I want to know what they do. I really think that not having it, I mean, so not recasting is one thing, but you have to have another Black Panther because that's a whole like he took his dad's place, and then someone has to take his place, right? And we don't know who it's going to be, Suri, or it's going to be the chick from the Dormelage. I don't know if I'm saying that right, um, but like, or it's going to be somebody else, right? Or maybe it's like a multiverse, which would be fucking awesome, a multiverse Killmonger.
Yeah,
That would be
I didn't
sick.
even think of that. Like Killmonger has been like floating around and stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't think they'll rise him from the dead just to bring him back. But
Dude, he was the best villain.
yeah, he was.
Besides the Kilgrave from Jessica Jones. He's the
Yeah,
second best villain in all of Marvel.
man, dude. Yeah, Michael B. Jordan killed that role, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely killed that role. Like, I don't think it's gonna be Sherry. I don't. That's not the path I really want to see. That woman warrior, I think, is more equipped, but she's not royal blood.
Yeah.
So that's a little tricky. But uh, T'Challa's lover, I forget her name. I mean, she could possibly be, the one that takes over.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's one of those three women. I
Yeah.
don't think it's that big dude, the one that lives in like the snowy
No,
part.
no,
It's
he's not
not
gonna
him.
die. He's not gonna
I like the Killmonger would be nice, and considering like the suit that they showed had those gold little accents like he had. Um, like I think it's a little far fetched, but I mean I'm not opposed to see Michael B. Jordan back. I
die.
think you absolutely kill it, and I think the keys to be passed down to him. I mean, in a reality sense, like it would be really nice because them two were tight, but also just in a movie context because like watching Black Panther for the first time, I understand 100% where Killmonger was coming from. I didn't even necessarily
Yeah.
blame the way he was acting.
No.
He was the most relatable villain I've ever seen in my life.
Every, every, everything that he did, we're just like, well, is he wrong? Like, we don't know if he's wrong. Like, you know what I mean? And I just think like so like what you mentioned, right? Because like if they were to introduce like a new character to take over the mantle of being the Black Panther,
Uh,
then like doesn't that it doesn't like you would have to introduce that earlier into the series. And I understand like we didn't know that Chadwick Boseman was going to die, but
mhm.
like even still, like you would have dropped hints for something. So the hints I've seen are like Suri or the lady from Dormelage or like Killmonger or even the mom, which would be weird, but she's too old. But like maybe the mom, right?
Yeah,
And Angela Bassett, like maybe those are like the four people that could be it. Like who else could be it? Because you have to be from like Wakanda. So unless there's a character that we don't know about that like maybe we missed and we have to go back and rewatch like Infinity War and see if like there was like somebody on the battlefield that we missed or something that
right.
could be it. But like it has to be one of those characters, right? If
Mhm.
you're gonna introduce an entirely new character, that is not gonna sit well with a lot of people.
Yeah, right. Like someone just out of like left field.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
replace the
Chadwick.
goat, the god,
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman with some dude just off the street, like no, that doesn't work.
If you had to put money on it, like who do you think it's like who do you think it is?
I think like the only so like if you were just to follow the process, I would just say it's Siri. But
Oh,
if you had to like if we're dealing in this whole multiverse, it's got to be Killmonger.
right.
But if it was Killmonger, we would know because he would be billed as a feature in the film, right? So we don't know that. If he's showing up as like a unaccredited like actor in the movie, then he wouldn't have a big role. He wouldn't be like the star of the movie. You know what
No,
I mean?
he would come in like the last like 30, 45 minutes of the movie.
And briefly, like it wouldn't be like the
Briefly.
whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. God, that would be such a
So
surprise, dude. Michael
yeah,
B.
that would be sick. That would be so
Because
sick.
what I think what would happen if we were to go that lane is like no one's stepping up to the Black Panther mantle. Shuri tries taking over with the equipment that she has. Is not able to fight off Namor. We will get into him in a minute because I'm really excited about that. Um, she's not able to hold her end and stuff. And if they do like some resurrection thing or multiverse thing to bring back Killmonger, basically Black Panther one B, and he saves Wakanda. I mean, that's
How
a
about
beautiful.
this? How about this? It's not even like you go to the multiverse and you get like a good Michael B, like a good Killmonger, but you get the same guy that killed Black Panther, and he regrets it, and he understands like what he created, and he's like, now I got to be the defender, and he has the royal blood, right?
Right.
Like that would be sick. That like it doesn't have to be like, oh, we just got this good dude that came here as a hero, but we got the villain that learns that he fucked up, and now I'm the hero.
Right. No. God, that'd be cool. Man, I'd love to see Michael B. Jordan back. But man,
Yeah,
we have a lot of titles to get to. We'll bang these
yeah.
out real quick. Yeah, Ant Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Like, I'm excited to see that. I like the Ant Man movies. I don't think Michael Pena is in this one, so that's kind of disappointing. But we're gonna see King. We're gonna even see MODOK. Never thought we would see MODOK. That ugly motherfucker. Then I think we might actually see. I think in a post credits scene in Wakanda Forever, the introduction to Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Because like what previous Marvel projects have failed to do, previous Fantastic Four movies, is show the magical capability that Doom has. I mean, I think that's one of the main reasons why Agatha is a little later on, because Doom's mom was like a witch and all this stuff, and uh, doing black magic, and that's basically where Doom gets his magic side from, and plus his godlike powers the other flips on the other flip side. And then a little after Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think Ant-Man actually dies in that. The Secret Invasion. I'm not too familiar with the Secret Invasion comics and all. I know about the scrolls. I know they're basically chameleons, and I think this is going to put a distrust within regular civilians and superheroes. I think it's going to make a big disconnect, like who to trust and not to trust. I think this is definitely going to be interesting. I know this is going to be probably set in the 70s, 80s, 90s, something like that, and just showing kind of like the bad side of the whole superhero world, which I think is really cool. I was probably going to go by a comic store next weekend and pick up some Secret Invasion stuff so I can look into it a little bit more. I only know a little bit about it. Then what I'm really excited about, but also really saddened about, is the end of the saga for the Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the final title for this series. The trailer's not out yet. The trailer wasn't finished. The people at Comic Con saw it. I mean, we're gonna dive into the guy that I forget his name, the one that basically made Rocket the way that he is, and along with a bunch of other creatures. And I forget his name, dude.
Are you talking about Andy Serkis?
No, like the actual comic character.
Oh, the actual guy. It's not Bruce Willis. It's not Will Arnett. Is it Will Arnett?
What for Rocket?
Yeah,
Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper. That's who it is. Bradley
Yeah.
Cooper. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we might see a good amount of these characters die, possibly even Rocket. Like in this movie, one of my favorite Marvel series or just Marvel movies in general, the Guardians of the Galaxies. Like what are your feelings about this being like the last movie of the saga?
I mean, look, like Guardians was good, but Guardians was like excellent when it had like Tony Stark in it, or it had like Chris Evans, or it had um, Thor.
Yeah.
Because like that sequence is like the one of the funniest things ever when he's like he's asking him he's like who's your god or who's your leader, and
Who do you
he's
serve?
like well, I'm supposed to say Jesus, and he's like you're from the earth, idiot, and he's like no, I'm from Missouri, and it's just like the
That is
whole
right.
sequence is so funny. Like that whole sequence is just like awesome. But like when you can't get those characters together, because obviously Tony Stark is dead, so you don't get that. And then so you got to go to like Thor, and Thor has become like really funny. I didn't see Thor: Love and Thunder. I know you saw it.
I actually haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No, I'll probably shoot for it next weekend.
Yeah, so I haven't seen it. I'm not really that interested because the reviews have been bad on that movie.
Yeah.
But um, the funny Thor and the funny I just don't know how many times you can go to that well, because it worked when the first time they met, right? And they're trying to like size each other up and be like, well, no, I'm the badass, but like clearly he's the badass and you're just a scrub, sort of thing. Like, I don't know how many times you can do that to make it funny.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what they're going to do in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 that's going to make it that funny, because that that whole series has been awesome.
Yeah.
And Ragnarok was awesome, and then Infinity War was awesome. The thing about like all these shows and anything in television is when like you get this certain chemistry between characters, and if you don't get that, then like that's what everybody wants. Like we don't care about the plot. We really actually want to know like when these guys interact. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes beyond just like the comic book stuff, but it's like Sopranos, like when Tony and Chris, or Tony and Polly Walnuts, or like these characters are interacting with each other. That is the best part of the show. It's not the overall plot. We always go back to these moments and we're like, this is what defines like why I like this show so much,
Yeah. Like I definitely got that with the Guardians chemistry too. Just like it just flowed so well, and and especially when we got to the Infinity War and all of them were intertwined, and like just the chemistry alone. Like I'm definitely gonna miss the
But think about, but
the
like
pivotal times.
you're right? Because like Drax was good in the first one, but the second one they had to introduce the chick with the thing,
Mantis.
Mantis, right? To make it funnier. It like made it way so much funnier. And every time, and then it had to be like Tony Stark with Drax.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just, you have to keep introducing people to Drax, because if it's the same people, he's so like dry that it doesn't work. Like you have to have just like new people into his, that he gets into his environment where he gets to be like this weird ass motherfucker.
One scene that gets me all the time is when Mantis gets hit by like a rock, and then like Drax like 2 seconds later he's like, Mantis, watch out.
Yeah. No, that part, and then he's like standing there, is like, I'm invisible.
Oh
and
yeah,
like tips or whatever. Like you can only do that one time. It doesn't work any other time. Like, you do it one time with one group of characters. If you try to do it again with another group of characters, it's gonna have to be a lot of work to make it funny. That's my point.
Yeah, like I agree with that. I'm really saddened about it coming to an end, but as long as it ends beautifully, I'm totally cool with that. Then going into Echo, Echo was introduced in Hawkeye. I don't know too much about Echo, but I think Daredevil and her are very correlated. I think we're going to see them two together. Loki season 2, it's going to dive more into the multiverse stuff and the Kang stuff, because Kang was introduced in Loki season 1. So nothing much to really talk about there. And then the
I,
Marvels.
I mean, I'm just like with that series. I'm really interested in the Sylvie character and what
Yeah,
she becomes.
I love
Like,
Sylvie. Yeah.
yeah, like I actually don't care that much about Loki anymore, but I care about Sylvie more than I do about her, about him.
Mhm. Yeah, like I really liked how they did season one and stuff. And I was doing some digging and someone mentioned so did you see the last Ant-Man movie?
No, I don't. I watched the first one, and it was just like product placement for, I think it was Civil War.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was
so
just a commercial. Like the whole thing, I didn't like it at all. I like the guy who's the guy that you just mentioned that's not in the last one, but he's in the other ones. Uh, Michael Senior or Michael Pena. What's his
oh
name?
yeah, Michael Pena, yeah.
Yeah, he
The
was
King.
awesome. Like his
Yeah.
character was cool. And then they introduced Randall, right? Randall, who's in WandaVision.
Yeah.
Like that guy's awesome. I
Yeah.
want to see more of him.
He's funny.
Yeah.
But oh shit, hang on. I think it just closed. Yeah, Loki season one was really cool, but uh the second Ant-Man movie, the Wasps and Hank Pym's wife, like got lost in the quantum realm and whatever, and she lived there for like 30 years. They found her,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So there was like a civil, like basically a town, like in the quantum realm and stuff, and the theory is that where the TVA is in Loki, that's where um, uh, like the TVA is in the quantum realm. So that's why they're allowed to manipulate time in the way that they want to under Kang's rule, in a sense. So that's kind of the theory that's floating around right now, which kind of makes sense considering like time is basically stood still and people are regulating uh, uh, time jumpers in a sense, trying to stay on course with everything, only
Yeah.
doing what you're supposed to. So it kind of makes sense. But we'll see when the time comes. The Marvels, they kind of hinted at the mutants are coming. That's going to take some building until they start bringing in X-Men stuff. But what I'm most excited about, I don't know your attachment with Blade, the Wesley Snipe
Okay.
Blades. Like,
So
yeah, you go, you
Blade
go.
is Blade, the original Blade movie, is like I've seen that movie probably like 50, 60 times. I have the DVD. Um, that initial scene in the movie where he gets introduced as Blade, I've probably seen that like 1,000 times.
Mhm.
Maybe not 1,000. I don't know how many times. I've seen a lot of times. I can tell you every single thing that happens. You know, I can draw you a picture of what happens in every scene of that movie. Um, so Wesley Snipes. Did you ever see that there was a short series? I think it was in like AMC or something. I think, and it was Sticky Fingers from what's the rap group he's from? God damn, I can't remember now. But he played Blade in a short like one season series, and it got canceled.
No.
Um, it was good. It was cool.
Okay.
So Sticky Fingers is from their number one song was Onyx. He's from Onyx, the rap group, early
Oh.
90s. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So that was like a early 2000s Blade sort of remake of that thing. You should check it out. It's cool. Um, so I am all in with her. I can't even say his first name, but Ali.
Yeah.
His fucking that guy
Malasha.
is amazing.
Yeah.
That dude is so amazing as an actor.
He's
So
yeah.
to see him play Blade and to see them remake that, and the fact that you can, and that's what I'm saying. Like, so for Marvel, like they're in this whole phase thing. I hope they don't incorporate the same characters because you can do a different Spider-Man, you can do a different Punisher, or you can do the same ones. Like, I mean, if you do the same Punisher, I'm good with that. But I heard Tom Holland is like totally out, right? Like Tom Holland is out on any Spider-Man stuff moving forward. Is that right?
Well, he is signed for another 3 movie deal, but is Sony owning Spider-Man? That's kind of like the issue here. They're putting together like a Madam Web movie currently right
Okay.
now. Yeah, so
That'd be cool.
yeah,
Madam Web would be cool. But no, I'm so in on this Blade thing because I know they like the way that they make TV shows now and series. Like they don't miss most of the time.
Uh-huh.
They don't miss anymore. So if they're gonna make Blade like that, like I feel like it's gonna really tap into the original Blade movie. Because Blade 2 and Blade 3 like were cool, but
They weren't like the
they weren't
first one.
tied to the first movie.
The
Like they
first one
were,
was good.
yeah, yeah,
Dude, the opening scene alone, like those two going out on a date or whatever. She brings them
yeah,
to that slaughterhouse, going to the basement, and just everyone's just jamming out. And then with the bloodbath and stuff, and just how
yeah.
that guy, he saw everybody was a freaking vampire crawling on the ground, whatever. And then Wesley just standing right there. Dude, it
Yeah.
gets me every time.
And
Like,
Blade 2 was pretty bad. Blade 3 was okay. Like the ending was good. But so I'll say this. Blade 2 soundtrack,
oh
that fucking soundtrack is
yeah,
so good.
yeah.
So good. Because it mixed like rap and rock with so it was like Mos Def with just different. It was just so good. It was so good.
Mhm. The soundtracks in all the Blade movies were always really good.
Yeah. And Blade 3 was done by RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan.
Was
He
it?
did the
Oh,
soundtrack.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
tight.
he did the
Okay.
soundtrack for it. That's why that Daywalker song is so sick. Like that, all of them are dope. But and trust me, like Wu-Tang is my all-time favorite rap group. So I'll always say RZA is the best. But Blade 2 soundtrack is better. Blade 2
Uh-huh.
soundtrack is top tier.
Yeah, the second one, I knew at least half the songs, and then that was me at 12 years old watching Blade
Yeah,
2. So, I
yeah,
can only imagine me watching it now. It's been a long time since I've seen Blade 2, but I'm so excited for Blade. And was the OG Blade rated R? Do you
yeah,
remember? It was?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And hopefully it's rated R again. I feel like there's certain characters you have to make it rated R, or at
So
least tiptoeing that line.
what
But
was the? Do you know if the Batman was rated R?
no, it wasn't.
It
But it was
wasn't.
borderline.
It was really close. I thought
Yeah,
I thought for sure that was rated R.
it was PG
Wow.
13. Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
as long as it's like borderline tiptoeing that, I'm totally cool with that. If it's
Yeah.
Batman level, yeah. Because we're
So
talking about vampires,
so
man.
that TV series, the Blade one is closer to R.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's dark. It's pretty dark.
yeah. I'm so excited for Blade, dude. You have no idea. I've been waiting such a long time, and we don't have to wait for long.
Yeah.
So Ironheart, I'm not too familiar with Ironheart. I know it's like a chick Iron Man. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see the take about Ironheart. She's going to be introduced in Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Agatha, Coven of Chaos. I think this is where we start seeing Doctor Doom's mom and the
Yeah.
magical side of things. The black magic and all that. So I think that's maybe going to be like a 6 episode thing, just trying to uh, bring some things together. I don't think the show is going to be too crazy, but I'm a little interested. But Daredevil, Born Again. Did you watch the Netflix Daredevil
Yes.
series? Yeah,
I fucking loved that. I loved
so
all the Daredevil stuff except for Defenders.
yeah.
Defenders sucked,
Defenders
but
is
everything else like Luke Cage, dude. Luke
Luke Cage
Cage
was tight.
fighting with Wu-Tang Clan in his headphones
Mm-hmm.
was like my spirit guide. Like that was it. Like that was my spirit animal. Like just seeing that because that's what I would do. Just put on enter the 36 chambers and just knock motherfuckers out. If I had the ability to not be, like be totally invincible, that's what I would do. Um, and even like uh uh same character, right? Or same person. I can't say his first name. I can. Ali.
Yeah,
He, being his character, and then just having like just the Luke Cage series. Jessica Jones season 1 was an all timer because the villain I feel is the best Marvel villain we've had, Kilgrave.
yeah.
Um, Daredevil fight scenes were insane. Can you
Insane.
imagine? So can you imagine? Like, so we saw John Bernthal play Punisher in that first season. Can you imagine John Bernthal after We Own This City Punisher? Like he's gonna be, he's gonna light this shit up.
You want my fan theory?
Tell me.
Okay, so She-Hulk comes out in a week or two.
Yeah.
I like She-Hulk lawyer and all that stuff. I think there's going to be a lot of little cameos, and I think there's going to be some big ones.
Well, they already said Charlie Cox is gonna be in it.
Oh yeah, like there's a clip of him and everything. Like that was in the trailer and stuff. But I think Ben Grimm's is going to be in it. The Thing. I think he might.
Okay.
I think he might. Show face. I don't know. I just have a gut feeling. Then I think John Berthal, too, just like maybe like a 2-minute thing, talking about. What was that?
No, I was gonna say. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, and yeah, like that would be so tight because as soon as they, I mean, I guess in a sense, the Punisher and John Berthal, they're canon because Daredevil was introduced in No Way Home, but for them to bring him back and like that, just show a cameo, and then if they announce Armor Wars, he's for sure in there. But if the Armor Wars doesn't come anytime soon, like to fully bring him in, I mean, Blade would be a tight time to bring him into, or Daredevil Born Again because it's 18 episodes. I mean, we're getting basically 3 seasons of content of Daredevil, and like if we get anywhere near the Netflix series, I mean, it's going to be amazing. Like Charlie Cox is so good, dude.
So like if you go back to the comics, like there's a lot of crossover with Spider-Man, Punisher, Daredevil, and Kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't that be fucking awesome to see? Like all
street
those
level
characters?
fighting, John Berthal, and even Echo, dude, because Echo and Kingpin are intertwined. I mean, not anymore after Hawkeye, but like Spider-Man is now street level. I mean, they're not going to bring in Spider-Man right now, but bringing in Daredevil and Punisher. Imagine the hallway scene from Daredevil, but it's like John Berthal and Charlie Cox like just fighting off like a bunch of like tracksuit mob motherfuckers, dude.
Yeah, dude. Like the whole oh god, I can't remember his name. The other guy from Defenders, the guy.
Are you
the
talking
white
about Iron Fist?
That was so bad, right?
Yeah, it was bad. They kind of did him wrong.
Yeah, it's tough because like you'd want to see that character keep going on, but like nobody liked him.
It wasn't his fault either. It was just like I don't think the writers gave a shit about Iron Fist. They're like, okay, we have Luke Cage, right, and Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
She's kind of like the mediator in a sense, and then we have Daredevil. And then they brought in Elektra, and I wish they kind of didn't because they killed her off right away.
Yeah.
So it was like,
yeah. But I mean, like more, like I think everybody wants more Punisher and more Daredevil.
Yeah.
Like we want we want street level shit because like everything has been like this like universal multiversal
gods.
Yeah, like we want gods like yeah, we want to see like the street level combat, and I think that's those guys. That's what we want. Kingpin. We want Kingpin.
It's so relatable too, and like Foggy too. Like Foggy might be in She-Hulk. I mean, it'll make sense. Maybe she like goes to him for like law advice or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if Charlie Cox is going to be in the show, then like Foggy
it'll make sense. Yeah, but we need Punisher. Like they just need to bring a dude. John Bernthal is made for
John Bernthal has elevated himself to like he should be an Endgame like level. Like like he needs to be like a superhero in the
he needs a solo movie. Like I'm at that point. He needs a solo movie. But excited for Daredevil. Then Captain America: New World Order. I think this is kind of a placeholder, but I don't know exactly what this movie's going to entail. But we get to see Sam Wilson as Captain America, and then we're going to see Bucky too. I just don't know sort of the lane they're going to go into with that. But then Thunderbolts. Do you know much about Thunderbolts?
I don't know anything about it.
Basically, Marvel Suicide Squad, Zemo. They're probably going to bring in Red Hulk,
Oh, okay.
and then some other characters. I mean, I guess you can throw Yelena in there too. Um,
Like that sort of stuff. I'm more interested in like let's just keep doing like the what if um like series. Like
yeah,
I'm down with like 10 seasons of what if. What if?
season 2 is coming out with that. I don't know if you saw
Yeah.
that, but yeah, that is
No,
coming.
I know. But the thing is like what I don't like is that it's all tied to like the movies. So, right, so like if you look at like if you remember the episode where Doctor Strange like gathers all those like characters or gathers all the powers from all the other like magical people, and
Yeah,
that was a character in Doctor Strange multiverse at the
mm,
towards the end, right?
right.
Um, so I just like it to be one off. Like if it can be like I don't want because like my thing is like I didn't watch the Hawkeye series
Uh,
because I never liked Hawkeye. Like I was never interested in his character. I thought it was
yeah,
boring as shit, right? Um, but like the other like Captain Winter Soldier, interesting. It's like a kind of like a spy thriller. The WandaVision thing was totally unique. It was like this whole like sort of like surreal thing going on. What If was like unique because it was cartoon, and you got like this whole another like it was a comic book. You're like
yeah,
reading a bunch of comic books every it's an anthology series of all these different stories happening, and then it tied into the movies and the Phase 4 and everything. And I didn't like that. I thought if it stood alone, it'd be cool.
yeah. I think Thunderbolts is going to be its own thing. I think, uh, you know, it's definitely a placeholder, just like I think how New World Order is going to be. I just don't know what they're going to do with Captain America, but with Thunderbolts, I'm just really curious of what the lineup is going to be and how they're going to approach it because I'm not too familiar with Thunderbolts like that, but I know what the characters entail and stuff because the guy that played like the sergeant he passed away.
Yeah,
Yeah, so he's originally Red Hulk. Like if he
yeah.
was still alive now, but I don't know how they're going to do that. But maybe Abomination. I don't know, but I mean, I guess we'll see, but I think it's going to be its own thing. I think I don't know if it's a movie or a series. I don't know if he's specified, but no, it doesn't say. I think it might be a movie. I think that'll be a better movie than a TV series. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I guess we'll see. But all right, that concludes Phase 5. But then transitions into Phase 6 with Fantastic Four. Um, like what were your feelings about the first Fantastic Four, like the one in like the early 2000s with Chris Evans as
Yeah,
uh,
which is funny. Like I was gonna say that Chris Evans played
Human
the
Torch?
yeah.
Yeah,
I never liked it. The only reason I watch it was because of Jessica Alba
yeah, same.
and the fact that she was naked was awesome. Like I
Oh
love
my
that part.
god,
Um,
prime Jessica Alba, dude.
prime, and she's still prime. She's still prime.
Yeah, she's still prime.
Um,
She still looks good now.
uh, I I have no interest in this movie. I had no interest in I haven't seen any of the remakes. Um, the Doctor Doom character was the only thing that was interesting about the entire movie,
Mhm.
which is the guy from Nip Tuck. If you ever watched Nip Tuck way back
Yeah.
in the day, that guy's an awesome villain. But other than that, like I had no interest in any of that series.
Now, when you mention it, I've always been a huge Doctor Doom guy, and not
Yeah,
necessarily Fantastic Four.
yeah,
Yeah,
because those characters are just they're not dynamic. Like
they're kind of bland in the sense. I mean,
they're really bland. Like it's almost just like they copied like other superheroes, not their powers, but just like, oh, we have this group of 4 people that can do shit. And it's just like, okay, but like we've seen so many other groups of superheroes that are actually that fight with each other, or that hate each other, or that they're villains and they become good guys, or their powers conflict. Like there's just a bunch of other stuff that makes it interesting. With that group, I'm just like, it's just boring.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. And with them introducing Krasinski, I can never say his name. Him playing Reed Richards, I think they might bring in his wife Emily Blunt. Is that her name? Emily
Yeah.
Blunt. Yeah, I think those two will fill that casting really well, and plus it kind of just works out. And I don't know who they would do with Human Torch. I don't know who would do the Thing, but as long as it's not an origin story, I'm all for it. I mean, I've seen it twice already. I don't need to see it again. So I think Kevin Feige said it wasn't going to be an origin story in a sense. So as long as we get a cool as Doom, like a dark
Yeah.
Doctor Doom, like it's going to save that movie completely, even if it's bad. But I have good faith in Fantastic Four. But going into that, just a couple months later, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. Again, I'm not too into the whole Kang world and stuff. It's very complicated. I mean, he's basically a world breaker. He's just like he knows past, present, future, and he basically controls everything. And I think what's really going to come down to with Secret Wars and the Kang Dynasty is Doom and Kang basically duking it out. Like
Yeah.
because Doom wants things a certain way, but with Kang controlling literally everything, it's not a recipe that's good for anybody. So, like coming to the bitter end of Phase 6, or really the beginning, because there's still a lot of time within this window. Um, like, if you had to guess the new Avengers, because these are Avengers titles, like who do you see that is going to be in the movies? Because it's a little weird now. Like I feel like they might bring back some people because it's going to be multiverse stuff. So
I think there's some weird like time things too, because I think like they're setting up if you from Endgame, like Tony Stark's daughter to be the new Iron Woman or whatever, right?
yeah,
Um, and then we don't know who's going to be the new Black Panther. We kind of know who's going to be the new um, Captain America, but like the time jump is weird, right? So we don't know if like he's going to be the same Captain America in like 20 years when they make all this stuff happen. So um, I don't know. Sorry, I have to check on my kids real quick. Just give me a
uh,
minute.
oh
Keep
yeah,
talking.
no, you're good. Yeah, like God, if I had a dude, I would love to see Spider Man, of course. I hope Chris Evans comes back as Captain America. I would love, Robert Downey Jr. to come back and play Iron Man one last time. Because this is going to be multiverse stuff. Like, I feel like you got to have these characters in it. I feel like Captain America is not going to be Captain America. Like, if Chris Evans comes back, I feel like he's just going to come plain clothes and, like duking it out on, battleground and stuff. Uh, I think the Thunderbolts, hopefully Hulk isn't nerfed or anything like that. He can come back. Yeah, I said Spider Man, maybe Black Symbiote Spider Man, maybe some mutants if they bring back a couple of X-Men characters. Like, like, like if you don't know much about Secret Wars and the Kang Dynasty, like you have to get these comics because it is literally filled to the brim with characters, and I don't think we're going to get all of them just because of how big the budget is. But like these two movies are going to be loaded with characters, and I think a lot are going to die. A lot, just a lot of big names. So I said Black Symbiote Spider Man. I feel like Tom Holland is going to get that eventually. Then I think they might bring back Chris Evans, maybe more plain clothes than
Yeah.
anything. Because Sam Wilson, he's Captain America now. Bucky's obviously going to be there. I feel like. Um, then Thor. I hope they bring back Robert Downey Jr. Maybe one last time.
I mean, he basically made the so let's do this. Let's transition. So
Yeah.
I would say that Iron Man is like easily, you could make the argument that that was the greatest comic book movie ever.
The
Right?
first one? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because and then Robert Downey Jr. basically he propelled the entire Marvel universe because his character interacting with all these other characters, Nick Fury, um, Black Widow, Chris Evans, fucking Star Lord, like all those interactions made it so electric. Spider Man, like think about like all the people. Anytime you saw Tony Stark on the screen, that was the best part of the movie.
Yeah. Every scene he was in, he stole it, dude. He was so good, man. Come back, some multiverse pull with Evans and uh, Downey
And
Jr. You
even
know?
when it was like with like no like when he was at that like 6-year old kid and he's like, you know what really bothering me? He's like, I don't have a sandwich. Like remember that scene from Iron Man 2 where
Yeah.
he's just like, what the fuck, kid? Like I know your parents died, but like what the fuck's my sandwich? Like that was so funny.
And then in like Iron Man, where he like after he escaped Afghanistan and stuff, and he's pulling up to the press conference and stuff, and like, well, he's all like, I really want Burger King right now, and so
Yeah.
they got him Burger King and stuff, and then like at the funeral and stuff, and Happy and his daughter are all talking and stuff, and it was like, let's get you Burger King and stuff. And it was kind of like a nice little call. Like it was such an emotional attachment to Iron Man and
Yeah.
stuff, like I'll admit it, I teared up in the theater, with him dead as
Yeah.
shit. I didn't think they would kill him
Yeah.
off like that. I thought they were going to do someone a little lower, but like I feel like they have to bring him back somehow. Just more of the leadership aspect, but I don't know.
I think what'll happen is like when they realize like they can't pull in the same dollars that they have been
Uh,
um, for these movies, that they're going to have to reach back to Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. and probably like Thor,
Maybe
right?
the
Like
whole
those guys
cast.
are like the guys that make the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, the whole cast. I'm pretty sure Scarlett Johansson would come back,
Yep.
and Hawkeye, and like these guys are in for the long haul. I mean, they have matching tattoos. I mean,
Yeah.
this is
And,
literally
and
them. So
and that's the thing. Like when you open up the multiverse, then you can do anything you want. You
yeah,
can bring back anybody you want at any time.
these two movies are going to be loaded with characters, and I would love to see Deadpool thrown in here too.
Yeah.
Maybe for a
That
few
would be,
minutes.
I mean, let's just mix it up. Like, fuck it. Like, let's mix it up. Like, we don't have to live in this like reality world. Like, let's just fuck it around and go into the fourth wall and just be like comedy. Like this,
Bringing Howard the Duck, like just make it
yeah,
crazy, dude. Like you can do
yeah.
literally whatever you want.
I mean,
But
because like we're all, it's not Star Wars, right? Like Star Wars, like if Mickey Mouse showed up in Star Wars, or if like Iron Man showed up in Star Wars, because it's all Disney, right? It's
yeah,
possible that they could, but if Mickey Mouse showed up in Star Wars, we'd be like, what in the actual fuck? Like we would just be like done, right?
yeah.
We'd be done. Or if Iron Man showed up, or if like all of a sudden like I don't know, like
It's like, so Avengers and Star Wars are canon. Like, what the fuck is this?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like what if uh Samuel L. Jackson showed up as Nick Fury in Star Wars, and he had to fight. What's his Star Wars character's name?
I forget.
Uh,
God damn it. Hang on.
whatever. We know the purple lightsaber. He
Yeah.
has to fight the guy with the purple lightsaber. Like that'd be wild. Like what are we doing? Like we've totally just jumped the shark.
Hey, motherfucker.
Yeah. Snakes on the motherfucking plane, bro.
What's this character?
I'm so mad that I don't know that Samuel L. Jackson character.
Is it not going to give me the name? Mace.
Mace Windu.
Mace Windu. Yeah, Mace Windu.
Yeah.
it was there. But that concludes the multiverse saga. I mean, it's jam packed, dude. We're gonna have
Yeah.
plenty of entertainment and stuff, and there's gonna be stuff in the middle, like X-Men '97 or '93. I forget the date. And then the Spider-Man anime series. There's gonna be a lot of characters in there. And then real quick before we get into the Batman ship, so that Adam Webb stuff that's going on right now. So it's gonna be Adam Scott and I forget the chick's name. That's going to be so Adam Scott. He's going to be Ben Parker, and this other chick, she's going to be, um, his mom, Peter's mom, and it's going to be like some multiverse. Someone's trying to come into Peter's reality and kill him before he's born because
Are you talking about the Spider-Verse sequel, or is this something different?
This is the Madam Web thing.
I see.
The
Okay,
Spider Verse 2. I don't even know what that's about. I don't know how they're going to do that one. But yeah, the Adam Web stuff. It's filming right now. I saw some set photos. I guess Sydney Sweeney from Euphoria is going to be in there. She's going to be playing a character or two. It's going to be more female based, which I'm kind of excited about. I mean, there's a lot of different Spider Woman, like Silk and all that stuff that's out there. So it seems interesting. The plot is cool. Look it up whenever you get the chance. It actually sounds
Okay.
quite interesting. It's a Sony thing, so like the only time will tell with that. But okay, we've been trying to get to this Batman thing for the longest, right?
Yeah.
So you watched Batman Begins again, and then you texted me like you have something to say about it.
Mhm.
What was that thought really? Like, because we've talked about Batman a handful of times on here, and then we've
Yeah.
been trying to debate like what's the better
So,
movie, what's the better Batman.
so
Go ahead.
I was on a flight to New York about a month ago, a little over a month ago. I watched the Batman again, watched the Batman again. I watched the Dark Knight, and I watched the Dark Knight Rises. Not in that order, but when I watched them, so everybody considers the Dark Knight to be the best. Or I mean, so let's say majority of people consider the Dark Knight to be the best uh, comic book movie, right?
Yeah,
Because it took the superhero aspect and then it combined it with this like legal drama sort of thing and made it into like this like multi drama sort of really interesting movie with the best villain we've ever seen. Um, I would say Kilgrave is up there, and I would say Kilgrave is up there with the Dark Knight, with the Joker, but Joker by far is the best. Um, so I watched it again. That movie's a little corny, bro. It's a little corny. Um,
Batman Begins,
the Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight.
It's no, because there's some really silly dialogue between the characters. There's a lot of like the actual like violence is like more psychological than it actually is. So like in the first scene of the movie, the Joker tells the guy, he's like, "No, I killed the driver," and he moves sideways, right? So the guy gets hit by the bus. But when you
Yeah,
see him hit by the bus, you can clearly tell that he's pulled by like a
pulley
cord.
system. Yeah,
Yeah, like he didn't get like mutilated. Like the guy did not die. You know what I mean? And
yeah. He
then
just
even then,
lost.
like
Yeah.
the bus just pulls into another stream of buses, and no one ever says like, "Holy shit, the bus that just
It's all
fucking
dusty.
yeah, like it just fucking backed into a bank." Like no one cares anything about that, right?
Mhm.
But it's really tactical, like that movie in terms of like how it's all planned out by the Joker. I mean, it's a brilliant movie overall. I just think there's some parts where the dialogue is like not good. But I would never say that about anything that the Joker says because I think everything that the Joker says is amazing.
Mhm.
Um, and when I watched the Batman, I was thinking, okay, like here's another Batman movie, fuck, like whatever, right? But when I read about it, and Matt Reeves basically is like, I wanted to create a a Batman that was like Kurt Cobain, and that's why you hear "Something in the Way," the Nirvana song twice in the movie, which is
Yeah.
like I don't even know how many times I've watched it on YouTube, bro. Because I watch it, rewatch it because it's so cool. Both those scenes. And it's interesting because the Batman character is kind of an incel. He's not an incel, but he's like a he's not an incel. He's like a voluntary cell. I don't know
Yeah.
how you call it, right? Like he's so like, and the song itself, "Something in the Way." If you listen to the lyrics, it's about a crazy person. The whole lyrics are like, I trap the animals; they're my pets now. I'm drinking water from the ceiling because I live under the bridge. Like the whole song is about a crazy person, a homeless person, or I shouldn't say homeless, but like an unhoused person, a crazy person, right? And isn't that what the Riddler is? Like he's an incel. Riddler's an incel for sure.
Yeah. Straight up incel. Yeah.
And like he so that's the drawback of that movie. So there's two things about the Batman where I'm like, I don't like it. Or I mean, I don't like it. I just don't like these components of it. I think it was a little bit too long, where they did a lot of like slow motion video stuff that drew the movie out more than it need to.
Hmm.
But then it really worked in those sequences where they're playing, the Nirvana song, and you're seeing him drive through the city on his motorbike and go down into the tunnel. Um, and then he doesn't fight any villains. He doesn't fight a supervillain. He fights an incel and a bunch of like
His
MAGA
goons.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
MAGA
MAGA. You know
people.
what I mean? Yeah. I mean, just people just trying to fight the FBI and shit. So it's just like, and if you look at all three of these movies, Dark Knight Rises, The Dark Knight, and the Batman, there's no supervillains. Like, do you consider Bane a supervillain?
No.
He's more of like a genius.
Yeah. A genius crime boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Joker too. Like Joker's not a super. I mean, well, he's pulling off some like military style like stuff.
Yeah. Straight dictator shit. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not like a super villain, right?
Right.
Um, and Batman actually in all three of these movies isn't really a superhero. He's just a vigilante, like
Cape
fulfilling
Crusader.
like his role, right?
Yeah.
Um, which is cool because, and that's what I like about all three of these movies versus any other Superman or Batman thing, where they're like the whole superhero thing is not addressed. Like it's just like we just don't know. It's like mystic. Like we don't
Yeah.
know. Ra's al Ghul, he has these abilities and to do things, but like, is it real or is it not real? Like, is he just talking shit? Um, what I thought, and so here's my spicy take, is that I thought The Dark Knight Rises is the best Batman movie of all time. Um,
Rises.
the Rises,
The
Rises
Bane
is the
one.
best, and on top of that, The Dark Knight is number 3 behind the Batman.
Okay.
Um, and what I would tell everybody watching this or that will watch this or listen to this later, go back and watch The Dark Knight Rises because that came out in 2012. And in that span, we have seen so many Marvel DC movies of these, supervillains destroying universes and whatnot. If you go back and watch what Bane was doing, it's actually fucking brilliant. Like he basically was like, I'm gonna take over Gotham because of the League of Shadows, because Ra's al Ghul taught me how to do this thing. I escaped from the pit. Um, it's not about like destroying the entire world. It's not like like with Marvel. It's like this whole all the movies attached to like the end game, right?
Mhm.
Here it's like the end game is 3 movies. That's it. We're gonna get 3 movies. We're gonna know what ends. So it's really tightly like it ties together really well. And Bane as a villain was really fucking actually scarier than Thanos or Kang. Well, maybe not Kang, but like at least Thanos, at least a lot of the villains that we've seen. Because there's a scene in there, if you remember, where he's like manipulating all these like people that are trying to take over um, Wayne Enterprises, and he puts his hand on this guy's shoulder and he goes, "Do you think you're in control right now?"
Oh
And the
yeah,
guy looks at him and goes, "Oh
yeah,
fuck, like I'm fucked." Like he knows like he's done because
yeah.
he doesn't even he's not trying to tell him. He's
It's
just
the
like, "Dude, you
intimidation
are."
factor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was just so baller, and the way that he fucks up, Batman in that movie. My biggest pet peeve with the entire movie is that Batman breaks his back, and then this guy like basically knees his like spine back into like proper alignment, like
yeah,
which is like my chiropractor couldn't even do that. So like I'm I don't know about that part, but the whole part where like people gave a lot of flack to uh Anne Hathaway for being the Batwoman, but she was by far a better Batwoman back Catwoman than uh, Zoe Kravitz. I thought Zoe was good, but Anne Hathaway had a better persona, um, and she had her own music too, which made it better. It wasn't as gritty, so she had this like sort of grace. Like there's a scene where they lock her up in jail, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna lock her up with the men," and she grabs this guy's wrist and does a flip and like just cracks this guy's wrist in
yeah.
half, and it was just like amazing. Like it was just like, oh yeah, she you can't fuck with her. Um, but yeah, I mean, I really thought that the Batman Rises or Dark Knight Rises is a better movie. Um, because I think that the villain is better in the long term in terms of like what they're trying to do and the
Uh-huh.
impact on society. I thought Batman learned a lot because I think the first movie he's trying to get over his fear, become like and how to be a vigilante. Second movie it was like he's trying to deal with his moral compass on with the Joker. Third one it was like it almost is like he has to get over the idea of like he can't save everybody, like
Yeah.
um like it's okay to die, like it's okay if you die, you're not going to save everybody. I don't know, what do you think?
Man, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Christopher Nolan ones. I mean, as a kid, I absolutely loved those movies. I mean, those were my Batman movies, and like I was just never incredibly sold on Christian Bale because he always looked a little weird, like in the Batman suit. I think it was more the suit than Bale. Like
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Christian Bale. American Psycho, one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just never really sold on the suit. He looked too skinny for it, and like he couldn't turn his head or anything. It was the swinging of the head, and
Yeah.
that alone. And then when he would do like the street fighting, he just wasn't moving like correctly, and it's like that through the whole three movies. The fight choreography was always off, and the best I saw was from Bane and Heath Ledger because like what Heath Ledger did was like a drunk guy fighting in a sense. It's sloppy, but he's like
It's
cracking
chaos.
you.
It's all
Yeah,
chaos.
yeah, it's straight up bar fight. How Heath Ledger fought the knife in the boot and
Yeah.
doing all that and just pistol whipping you like that stuff. Like put like actual fear in me. The Bane one, cracking his back and just dude, Tom Hardy, he was swollen that movie, dude.
Yeah,
Like
he
I
was.
I I remember looking up his workout regimen and just seeing some just his workout sessions before he was shooting the movie, and he got so ripped for that movie. Shout out to him, even though the Bane, like that Bane movie, I like wasn't too crazy about. Like I just didn't feel gravitation towards Anne Hathaway. She just wasn't seductive enough for me. That's what Catwoman is. Like the most seductive
Who's your best
Catwoman.
Catwoman? Who's your best Catwoman?
Um, are we talking in the movie sense? Okay, can
Anything.
I? As in the Arkham games,
Okay.
in the PlayStation games, that Catwoman gets me every time, dude.
Yeah.
But I think it goes that one, then Zoe Kravitz, then what was the one? I always forget her name. The older one.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer, then Anne Hathaway. And
Yeah,
I like Anne Hathaway. It was just it was the the lingerie mask. I just wasn't digging, and then the fight choreography with her, it just seemed too stiff. And I like, but when it came to just like motives with the villains, was always top tier. Like what Bane was doing, I completely understood. With the direction and everything he was doing, it wasn't even a vengeance thing. It wasn't a justice thing. It was all like, I'm that fucking dude, and you're gonna listen to me,
yeah,
and like I'm gonna do what I want. And with Joker, like money wasn't the end game. It was about control and keeping Batman in the loop. And it's like, I'm always
yeah,
gonna beat you. Like I
yeah,
know you're not gonna kill me. So like the Dark Knight, I still will say is top two comic book film ever. Like I do know what you mean about the some corny areas and stuff. Definitely
yeah,
the bus one. I laugh at
yeah,
that bus one all the time because like perfect entry point. Like it's like the exact time to pull into it, the dust going crazy. No calls about that or anything.
yeah.
But the scene that gets me in the Dark Knight every time is when the mayor is standing at the window
And
and
the body hits
that
the
guy
window.
flies in. Yeah, the body
Yeah,
hits the glass, and then the Joker ransom video, and he's just like laughing at the screen. Like, dude,
yeah.
there would never
So
be
cool.
a better Joker than Heath, and Joaquin did a great job. Like the laugh is there,
Yeah,
but dude, it was a perfect comic book representation of him. And then in the Arkham games too, the two guys that voice Joker in the Arkham games are fucking spot on, but they don't look like Joker, so they'll never play him. But the
mm,
voices were always dead on in those games. But after watching the Batman, like 4 or 5 times at this point since it's come out, I'm ready to put the Batman above the Dark Knight
yeah,
because you get that detective aspect. You see how young he is in the process of being Batman. You see the home restoration stuff, like the bat suit, how and like it was kind of basically in phase one of having
yeah,
that bat suit. Then with the muscle car, Batmobile was badass, and when that car was turned on, it just rumbled like a motherfucker in the theater.
yeah,
Then and it was just the eeriness of it all and the seven feeling, the prisoners feeling,
yeah,
and I love how they captured that and how dark it was because um the Batman comics I read, I always chose the darker ones. I don't know
yeah,
who I did the darker articles of them. I can't think of the illustrators, but those were the ones I always gravitated towards, and it's just that dark eeriness. And then when Robert Patterson is walking around, and especially during the funeral and stuff, it's like a zooming. It's kind of like blurring things out, like everywhere he's like looking and stuff. He's like focusing and
yeah,
focusing, not focusing and stuff, and it just kind of captured like he's always evaluating. Like he wasn't gonna go there just to go there. He was there for a purpose, and
yeah,
he's only worried about him. And then with Zoe Kravitz, it was a great introduction, and they actually like worked together. And then them bringing in Falcone, we never really got a Falcone, and that the guy that played Falcone did amazing. Then Dano as Riddler, like it's funny having Jim Carrey play like the quirky Riddler and all that stuff. And like Riddler, he's not a top tier villain, He's not, Riddler's not even on the top 10 list,
yeah,
But just his motivation and just overall game plan was, I thought the execution was really dope, and especially the last fighting scene on top of like the that big old monitor, TV thing, and Batman's just duking it out, and he's getting shot, and he's just elbow, like
yeah,
just going crazy. And then just like the final scene of uh, Robert Pattinson, he's like holding this chick and puts her down, and he's just like, "All right, you're good." And she grabs him and stuff, and it's finally like, uh, like it's not vengeance, it's like you are like the guy that we have trust in you now. Like Batman proved that, and I think the Batman just everything together was collectively better than that movie alone. Better than the Chris the Christopher Nolan trilogy. With those three movies to one, I think the Batman blows those
I
movies out
mean,
the water.
it's a really good fucking movie. I don't think it beats those three. But the thing that again, I'll go back to like the problem I had with that movie is like he didn't really face a villain in that movie.
Yeah,
Like he didn't really actually do combat to combat with an actual villain. And then the second part of that is like the movie had such a mystique to it that if you try to do a sequel and try to replicate that, what is it going to look like? Because like you can't replicate, like you can't just keep doing Nirvana songs, as
yeah,
like the narration of like the movie. And if you're going into a sequel with the Joker, now you're fucking with a lot of stuff because we saw the best Joker, we saw another Joker in his own movie, which was amazing, probably better than any other Joker then other than Heath Ledger.
yeah.
So what kind of Joker are you gonna do like here, and like what is the story gonna be about? And is Batman still gonna be sort of like this incel guy, or is he gonna be more confident? Like, is he more
Yeah,
like
like, is
ready
there going
to
to be a
fight in the
time jump?
street?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's going to be interesting because, like, if the second movie takes place right after the first one, I mean, it can be a little messy. I think it would be kind of like the same thing in a sense, which I don't necessarily want, but
Yeah,
like so many things got hit in that first movie, which like I think would work again. But
yeah,
I don't think they can do the whole Nirvana thing again. But maybe a little more harder rock, maybe, or just the eeriness of something in the way. Like when they first play the song in the movie, like it rattles, dude. Like as soon as Kurt
yeah.
Cobain's uh, uh, singing starts, like the whole theater was shaking, dude. And
Dude, as soon as we're done with this pod, I'm about to listen to that song again.
yeah,
Like, I love that song so much.
I played it in the car because I have my car bass boosted like a motherfucker,
Yeah,
and I played
yeah,
it, and it's the closest thing I got to like the theater sound, and just how it opens is great. Like the whole score in that movie is great.
yeah. It is. It's just a little too long. Don't you think it's a little too long though?
Yeah, if they cut 15 minutes from it, I think it would be absolutely perfect.
Just too many like slow motion, slow capture stuff. Like you didn't need
Yeah,
to do.
yeah. Like I don't know exactly where they would cut the 15 minutes from, but
I can tell you one scene is the scene at the end where he's like slow motion walking through the water to like save the people. Like we don't even need to see that part. Like that whole scene, we know we know he saves people. He did the whole heroic act. Like we don't have to see him like slow motion walk people to safety.
it took them a while to get out that water. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe that ending scene with Zoe when they were like departing and stuff. It
yeah.
felt
It
like
was
that
kind of
one
like
was too long.
Fast and Furious Paul
That's
Walker scene, right? Yeah, a little too much, a little too
yeah,
much.
yeah. That scene was a
Yeah.
little too long, but like really little to no complaints about the movie, really. So,
Yeah.
but besides that, was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we get out of here?
Um. Well, when it comes to Batman, so I made my piece on all these Batman movies. The one thing I'll say about the Dark Knight though, or the Dark Knight Rises, that is, I mean, a lot of people had problems with that movie when it came out. They're like, oh, it's such a letdown. But when you watch it compared to like all the movies we've seen, the comic movies, it stands up. But there is a part in that movie where you're like, what the fuck? So Batman basically goes to, I'm going to go into the sewers. I'm going to free all these cops and I'm going to let them run wild
Yeah,
on these criminals, but they have no weapons.
yeah.
He's just like, I'm just going to let these motherfuckers run on these people with no weapons at all. They have all the weapons. We have no weapons. That part was stupid.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that part was stupid. I didn't even think about that until you told me.
Yeah.
But you remember the fight scene between it wasn't it was him and Anne Hathaway. They were like duking it out against the goons and stuff, and
Yeah.
like they're basically like air hitting these guys and stuff, and like I saw that in the theater, like watching it. I'm like, what the fuck? Like they couldn't have shot that better, like
So
caught that.
that's actually another plot hole, because in that scene, Batman tells her, he's like, these aren't like normal criminals. These guys are assassins. So because she's like, yeah, I can fuck with these people on my own. I don't need your help. And he's like, no, these are assassins. You got to worry about it. Then cut to that same scene at the end where it's like, these guys have the guns. Aren't these the same assassins that you have to worry about? So I don't know. I mean, so I think you can justify that by saying because he released all the prisoners from the prison, so maybe those aren't the same guys that are like the assassin people.
Right.
But I'm doing some Star Wars gymnastics here to make it work, because I always have to do Star Wars, make some gymnastics to make it work.
Okay. So, who would you say is the best Batman? And you already kind of gave your answer to the best Batman movie.
Yeah, I
So,
think I still think the best Batman has been Christian Bale.
okay.
I don't like he really revolutionized the whole Batman persona, because like it was never done the way that it should have been done in the comic books. So actually, let me think about it, because now I'm thinking about like the comic book Batman from the Batman animated series.
Yeah.
And maybe he's better. Maybe he's better than Christian Bale.
A lot of people put the animated series one like one or two, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But I think those are my top two. What are yours?
So, like, okay, so me and Dan agreed on the Ben Affleck one just because for me, like
Y'all are
me
wild,
playing
man. Y'all are fucking wild. I don't understand
for,
why.
for me, the Arkham games were literally my life. So, like, the closest thing that I've seen from the Arkham games to now is Ben Affleck, and he's basically that Arkham Batman, literally just sending people through windows with punches and all. Like, it's very like out
Dude,
there.
I have that game for
Yeah,
PS3. I have that game. I know what you're talking about. But you really think that's the same Batman from Justice League? I don't think it's the same Batman.
like I'm saying from like I have so many favorites because I love the Batman Beyond one. I love the animated series one. Um, but like if I had to pick one, really, and like this might be a corny answer, but like I'll probably pick this Patterson one because he moved a lot better, like in the suit. He was able to turn his head, and then they finally acknowledged the eye makeup and stuff.
Yeah.
Like they were just take off the helmet, and then they're like there was like nothing there, but their eyes were clearly black and stuff. And I think there was more attention to detail on the suit and just how he moved and how he fought and just what he was able to use and just how bare bones he was. I think that captured probably the best Batman elements.
I mean, his car and his bike are like that's like if that's what Batman would be, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just a simple bike, just a souped up car. It wouldn't be all the fancy shit. Um, I like that. I like that because I think that within that Batman character is the most realistic Batman, because
And
like
how
that's
Gotham was portrayed in that too. Like in the Christopher Nolan's ones, it just looked like New York, or like New
yeah,
Jersey. It just looked like that. But in
and not even New York. It looked like Wall Street. It wasn't
yeah,
like
yeah, it looked
normal.
like Wall Street. And in the Matt Reeves ones, like the town looked like a piece of shit, dude. Like
Yeah,
like literally how it's portrayed in the comics, and that's what got me right away. So
I mean, and that's the thing. Like that's why I agree, because I think because like Christopher Nolan Batman is awesome. He like really portrays the Batman character well. He may not portray the Bruce Wayne character as well as we want, or it may not be realistic, right? Because if you were to be a crime fighter and do this shit at night, and like when he writes in those diaries, he's just like, I don't remember like what happened. Like I have to watch the videos back to even know what's happening. Like that's more realistic. Like he's a psychopath.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like he has no idea. Like he's totally lost touch with reality, and that makes more sense. for a Batman character to do all this shit than to be the guy that's like, I'm fucking supermodels on a yacht and
Yeah,
also doing this at the same time. Like, it's not, you can't do both.
that was the other thing. It was that rich boy thing, and then when it got to the third movie, and he was basically like bankrupt or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it like he was still being like the rich boy, the like the frat guy, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I need to see some vulnerability, some emotion, because it was just like
Yeah.
it was just Christian Bale being Christian Bale.
But at the end, he gives up all his value in the company. He gives up the home to the orphanage, which I thought was fucking awesome.
That was
That
tight.
was yeah.
And then like in that movie too, I love how it ended too, with Alfred, going to that little like
Yeah.
cafe or whatever, sitting down, and he sees, um,
So let me ask you this, because there's a lot of theories about this. Do you think that actually happened?
what Alfred seeing him.
Yeah. Or Alfred just envisioned it. Like it could have been because
You can really go
from
both ways.
everything we understand is that he fixed the autopilot thing to get out of the plane. He could find Catwoman. They had some sort of spark or, some between them. But I, part of me thinks that like that was all like a fake out. Like maybe he actually died and Alfred envisioned it.
It's hard for him to like accept the fact that he's gone after like
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
I can see it. Like you can really go both ways. Um, that is interesting because it's literally only like a 30-second scene.
Yeah.
So
Not even 30. It's like less than that. Yeah.
yeah, man, that's tricky because like they showed that scene a little early on in the movie, and like Bruce isn't there or anything. It's just Alfred, and I think he was reading like a letter or whatever. But I don't know, like because Alfred has basically outlived everybody in that family. So yeah, maybe because he saw the parents
So,
die,
so the thing is, like, in the movie, they make a point to tell you, like, Alfred says, "I'm going to see you at this, or I want to see you at this place." That's my whole thing. They talk about the autopilot where he fixed, like, somebody fixed the autopilot. Who fixed it? Oh, it's like Bruce Wayne's IP address, whatever. So they figure that shit out, right? And they make the whole scene about it. But like, it's a Christopher Nolan movie, and like, if you watch Inception, like, you don't really know at the end,
right?
like, was it a dream or not? So I my feeling is that Alfred, it was like his own personal like dream, his fantasy. That's my theory,
Man, I
which
love.
makes it cool because it becomes like
Yeah.
this whole like you don't know, like that's what I love about movies, TV shows like The Sopranos, where it's just like you have no idea what the fuck like anything means. Like it just they never tell you in the end what happened.
Mhm. Yeah, like if I ever run into Christopher Nolan, I'll definitely ask him that question because that is interesting. I haven't heard that theory, but like if I thought of it, my conclusion would have been like Alfred's literally seen and raised Bruce, and he watched his bosses die in a sense, and he's basically outlived his whole family, and watched like the rise and fall, and then the rise and fall of Bruce and stuff, and yeah, like they have that conversation like meet me at this cafe and stuff, and maybe that is like a reassurance thing of now like Bruce is at peace because even though Bruce said like he's done like after this, you'll probably never finish because he can never
Yeah.
stop. So maybe that was kind of like, okay, he's finally done, sort of thing, and he envisioned him there. I can
Yeah,
see
because
that.
like that's a good point that you just brought up though. Like, would the Batman ever stop? He wouldn't.
No.
So he would have to die for him to stop.
Hmm.
And so if Alfred was to envision Batman, he would envision him healthy with a girlfriend or like a wife, right? Like that's what makes me think it's like a fantasy more and more. Because Batman would not stop. He wouldn't just end there. He would just keep going.
And that was probably the most normal like Bruce we've seen in those three movies. He's sitting at a cafe, drinking like a coffee. He's wearing a polo,
Yeah.
and he's wearing like fucking cargo shorts. Like it's him just being.
And think about this too. Like he's not even disguised.
No, he's not. That's
So
another thing too. He's recognizable, and that cafe is obviously in
yeah,
Gotham.
it's on the street. No, the cafe was in Europe somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was he said to him, he's like, my goal is I want to see you with some kids and a family at this cafe in like Paris, or he mentions a certain place. So that's where he shows up at. So it makes me think even more like he can't just even with Catwoman too, like both of them are just gonna be non-disguised, like sitting in a cafe in an open street in some place where Interpol can like intercept them. Like it doesn't make sense.
That's such an interesting theory. I'm gonna do some digging around. I'm gonna see, maybe go on some Reddit
Yeah.
forums to see if anybody's talking about that. But that's a good point. I never really thought about it that way. I just kind of took it at face value, like, oh, okay, he's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because even so, like let's say, okay, like that part, like let's say Bruce Wayne's dead, but then they set it up for Nightwing or whatever Robin's gonna be, the Joseph Gordon-Levitt character. Like they set it up for a sequel, so it's almost like to me now that I think about it even more and more, I'm just like Batman died. Batman for sure died at the end of that
Yeah.
movie.
Plus, that was like a nuke too. So
Yeah, it was
even if he
a
like jumped
nuclear.
out the water, that
Yeah,
nuke would have got him. Yeah,
yeah,
he died. He's dead.
yeah, yeah,
that was a that was bigger than the one that hit Hiroshima. Like that nuke was
yeah,
significantly bigger.
yeah. It was way bigger. It was like 3 times bigger. It's big time shit.
Oh, God.
The
Okay, man. That came out of left field with your Dark Knight Rises thing. I didn't think you were gonna say that. I
just
thought when
I would just tell everybody like when was the last time you saw that movie?
Rises, oh, not too long ago. I would say like in the last year.
Oh wow. So I hadn't watched it probably in like 8 years. So
Essentially when
like
it
when
came
I
out.
rewatched it in comparison to like all the Marvel stuff, I'm like, this is amazing. It's
Yeah,
fucking awesome.
they were great,
Because
dude.
I mean, there's just like the problem with the Marvel movies is they're all like a setup to something else. Like there's probably like 5 Marvel movies where I can go back and rewatch 100 times, like Iron Man, uh, uh, Winter Soldier, Civil War, um, Infinity
Endgame.
War, and Endgame. Like I can go back to those movies anytime, and Black Panther. I can go back to those movies like anytime and just watch them. But the rest of them, I'm
It's
like I
always a
don't need to
cliffhanger.
see.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna watch Iron Man 3 again, ever.
Was Iron Man 3 when all of his marks like came out and
Yeah,
saved Pepper?
yeah, and
Yeah,
what's his name?
I forget the name.
Not the Mandalorian,
The Mandarin.
the Mandarin. Yeah,
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 that guy's hilarious.
yeah,
Oh man, but no, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, like I can kind of just sit down and watch any Marvel movie, but like with the cliffhanger stuff being connected, no, I get that. I think the first couple phases gets a pass because they were setting up for Avengers. But
yeah.
like after they did Avengers, maybe stop with the cliffhanger stuff. But then they set up for Civil War and Infinity War and Endgame. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Oh, and I'll say this: Age of Ultron is underrated.
It is
Like,
underrated. I watched it again in this last year. It was actually
yeah,
really good. I
yeah,
remember bagging on it when it first came
yeah,
out. I was like, "What the fuck was that?" But the
yeah.
opening scene when they're scrapping in the in the snow and stuff,
With the
that
Nazis or
was a
whatever.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
a great scene, dude.
that scene, and then the scene on the what was the place? Where were they? Sokovia. Is that the name?
Yeah, Sokovia.
Yeah, like all that stuff in Sokovia was amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when they're protecting that thing
Yeah.
and like they're just holding it down and just and I hate how they killed off Quicksilver. I don't think they had to do that.
Uh, yeah, but
Isn't
it
it?
builds in the whole like Scarlet Witch like
Yeah.
angle that they're going now. So maybe it was like the long game with that
Was his
character.
name Quicksilver in there? I don't remember. Was it a different name?
Um, so there's two characters, right? Like there's the X-Men Quicksilver, or
Yeah.
what's the X-Men character? Quicksilver, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like the General Marvel character was another name.
Okay.
Um,
Let me see if I can look it up real quick.
yeah, I don't remember the guy's name. So there was like two characters that they kind of morphed into one. Um,
I
and
like the
I
guy
don't
that played it.
remember what's that.
I like the guy that played it.
Yeah, he was good,
Yeah.
and it was cool that he showed up in WandaVision too.
The one that should have been WandaVision was the actual Quicksilver from the X-Men.
No, but I thought they both showed up at different points.
No, what? Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's what made the whole thing weird, is because they like made it so like meta that we're just like, what the hell is happening?
okay, yeah, this is like a different Quicksilver then, because they
Yeah.
have him down as Quicksilver. Okay.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah. So there's a Quicksilver in X-Men A. Was it first class? There's a
I think it was
Quicksilver
First
in that
Class.
movie.
Yeah,
First class, right?
yeah,
But that guy showed up in WandaVision too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember
So they
that. Yeah.
both showed up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Age of Ultron is underrated though. There's a lot of good fight scenes in,
Yeah.
in that one. Oh, I found this funny too. So, when I was watching The Boys, yeah, before we get out of here, when I was watching The Boys and they finally show who, uh, what's the fire guy,
Oh, Fire Guy.
Life Lighter.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So the guy that plays him was Iceman in X Men.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. Fucking. Yeah. He was Iceman
Oh,
in the early X Men movies.
oh shit.
So I think that was intentional. They just like fucking.
Yeah. Dude, that
But
whole the boys is wild. Like, I mean, I still am like traumatized by that guy like exploding another person through his penis.
that was a wild scene, dude.
I'm still traumatized by that. Just
Uh,
sneezing. Oh my god.
Termite, right? It was
Yeah.
Termite. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a tight name for a guy that shrinks like that. Termite. But
That was so weird. That was so weird.
yeah. Oh yeah. Let's just touch on the boys real quick since we're here. Just knock it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I binged it. It was incredible. I loved season two. I know you were a little weird about it, but I thought introducing Stormfront was like really tight and like kind of like I didn't read the boys comics. I heard they were kind of trash, but
Yeah.
yeah, introducing Stormfront and her having like this racist past and not
Yeah.
necessarily like the Nazi stuff, but just her changing her persona, coming back like 40 years later to be, or like 80 years later, portraying a different superhero and stuff, and then the whole Homelander relationship and stuff, and then after the whole Stormfront incident in the forest, and she got fucking like lit up by Homelander's kid. Like this whole show was crazy good, crazy
I
good.
mean, so like I guess the problem, so season 1 was really good like setup. Season 2 for me was they expanded the universe too quickly in my opinion. But then season 3 like reinforced that expanded universe, so I was okay with it. Um the problem I had was that the fact that Homelander could keep getting away with the shit that he was doing
Yeah,
and nobody killing him. I thought at some point he would die in this last season. Um, it seemed inevitable. So if he's like the major bad guy, because like we had Gus Fring or whatever his character's name was kind of like the bad guy, or the mom or his mom in the first season was a bad guy. Like so we keep like leveling up, and like now we're kind of stuck at like Homelander was the villain. He was one of the villains in the first season. Now he's the villain all the way through, and he's like the super bad guy. I don't know if I'm that compelled. Like I just feel like if we can't beat him, if you got Soldier Boy and you got like a souped up Billy, and you got a souped up what's that guy's name? The nerdy dude, um,
You're talking about uh, Huey?
Huey.
Yeah.
Huey. You got all those souped up dudes, and you had a Wonder Woman chick, whatever her name is. I can't remember her name.
Maeve.
Maeve. You had
Maeve.
all these chicks and all these people. You still couldn't beat Homelander. Like what are we like? How is the only reason Homelander is going to die now is because of his son. His son has to kill him,
Yeah,
right?
they
Like
are
nobody.
kind of setting
If
up
none of these
the.
people can beat him, then like Homelander's son has to kill him.
Yeah, like you think there's going to be a time jump for season 4 then? Maybe try to kill him off? Because
If
I don't think the plans
so,
have changed.
the crazy that's a problem that the other problem I have with like this series is that they had a lot of like more intriguing like elements of negativity or evilness,
Hmm.
and now it's all kind of centered around like Homelander. So if you kill off Homelander, like who's the bad guy? Like
Right.
where's the story go, right? Because you killed off Gus Fring and you killed off well, well I guess you didn't kill off his
Did Gus
daughter.
die? I don't remember him dying.
No, he didn't die. He just got like fucking. He got canceled, pretty
Oh
much.
yeah, from the politician. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, which the politician now is like a bad guy,
yeah.
but like
She's freaky.
she's freaky. But like, are you like? I don't know. Like, I don't know. We'll see. Like, I think like they have a lot of interesting ways they can go for season 4.
Hmm.
Or is it season 4? Yeah, season 4.
Yeah, it'll be season 4 now. Like, do you think they go long with this show? Because I can see him capping it at like season 5 or something.
I think they have to cap it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah,
But you can
like
do spin-offs. You can do spin-offs because there's a cartoon show on Prime, which is awesome actually. They did like a little like cartoon spin-off of the show, which is really funny. You can do like multiple seasons of that. You do like Huey like spin-off or like a Maeve spin-off or whatever. Like you could do some cool shit.
that's tight. I'll look into it, but you just to overall summarize the boys from my perspective before we get out of here. The political undertone I absolutely love. The Gus coming out of nowhere was amazing. I love Gus Fring, whatever his actual name is. Um,
Yeah.
he was great. Just the every killing in the show was like jaw dropping in a sense, like the fucking dick thing, like termite in the cocaine bag, um,
Yeah.
Butch with the baby laser fucking thing, like
Yeah, that was on.
then just opening scene with Huey with his girl and A Train just runs through the chick,
Yeah.
slow motion, guts everywhere, and like every death, even the dolphin one, like through the windshield, like every death in the show is so jaw dropping and it's so funny and like it just comes out of nowhere, and just how like heartless like Homelander is, like why the one of the main reasons why I don't like Superman is because like I hate when like a creator maxes out like a superhero,
Yeah.
and then it's that's why I just never like appealed to like Dragon Ball Z, like with
Yeah.
like Goku and shit, and like with Superman too. It's like they didn't write a weakness to Superman until like 5 years later after they
Yeah.
introduced him. Like he was just OP'd, and so with the whole kryptonite thing is kind of stupid. So with Homelander not necessarily knowing like his weaknesses in a sense, and like people are just trying to kill him off just because how like he's like literally the worst person you can possibly have
Yeah.
running the show, and like when he's like let's light this baby up or whatever when he's talking to Starlight, let's light this candle or whatever. Like he can dead ass just wipe out the world and just like be who he wants to be, what he really wants to be. But what's suppressing him is his image and his son, and he's trying to build that that character with his son and try to be viewed as more like a god than a superhero than anything. And what's irritating to me about the show is like how strong Starlight's powers are. Like she like accidentally killed that guy with a car battery.
Yeah,
Then
it varies. Like her whole
yeah,
thing like varies. It's not
and
consistent.
and she like charged up, like basically brought in all this stuff and like sent it towards like Homelander, and he just like fell down and got back up. But the guy that played Soldier Boy, I didn't know was a supernatural guy. I didn't
Yeah,
know
it's the
that.
same dude, Jensen
Yeah,
Naturals. Yeah,
like
I
I
never
just
watched that show, but it's always on fucking TNT or whatever the fuck. Every time
yeah,
I put that channel on, it's always on there. It's either like
I
a fucking basketball game or that thing.
I just never seen him with a beard, and I'm like, dude, he
Yeah,
looks so fucking familiar. And I
yeah,
look, and I was like, that's a supernatural guy. That's tight.
yeah,
But dude, top to bottom, I like. Thanks for the recommendation. I fucks with the show, dude.
yeah. No,
Especially
I'm glad you
Butch.
liked it.
It's
It's a
so
great
funny.
show. Um, yeah, I mean, it, I mean, we'll have to see how it goes. Like, it's so out there, and the fact that Amazon actually let them do the things that they did in the show,
Crazy. Yeah.
exploding a guy from inside his dick, like the whole hero gasm orgy thing, like
Oh yeah.
just the shit that they did was insane. And so like if Amazon is open to doing that sort of thing, like we'll see where the show goes, and we'll see what Amazon does because they can do a lot of other crazy stuff, with other proprietary stuff that they own already.
hmm
So
Oh, quick question. So, how did Mother's Milk get his name? Like, I think I missed it.
I don't know. I think we were. I think we're. Dude, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm gonna do some research about that then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought I missed something, and I was gonna ask you about it.
Well,
But
I think at some, I was watching like some like preview or some like recap on the show, and they were talking about it, but then I don't think they ever said like he actually got his name from like it's like maybe in the comic books, but not in the show.
okay, it's kind of a hard name. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah,
uh, but yeah, let's wrap it up, man. I had a great night with you.
yeah, man.
It was fun breaking all this down and stuff, and like we're gonna see a lot of good shit coming out in these next couple years, and we'll be able to talk about them and stuff. I don't necessarily agree with their Batman take, but I respect it. I'll watch Rises again. Maybe my opinion would change with the things you've laid out to me.
I mean,
Look at it through a non-negative way, I guess.
like I would just tell anybody like if you're gonna make fun of like the Bane voice, then you should go ahead and make fun of like um who's that fucking Squidward guy from like Endgame? Like you could make fun of like 50 guys like that have like funny voices in Marvel. You know what I mean? So
The Squidward.
then that again, that's why like Robert Downey Jr. is the go, dude. Robert Downey Jr. is the go. He's like, dude, you're making me look weird in front of the wizards or whatever he says. Like,
Not today, Squidward. Yeah, God,
yeah,
he was so funny.
yeah,
But yeah, again, another conclusion to an episode. I had a great night with you, Amit.
yeah.
And I do. Are you going on any other trips? Are you done for a while?
Um, I might be heading out to Arizona for Labor Day, but it's gonna be like a tight trip, so I don't know if we're gonna be able to get a chance to connect. I'll let you know.
I'll be around.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I just don't know how much time I got. And then yeah, that's the only thing right now that's coming up. Like I said, I'm doing daddy daycare this weekend, so I'm like living like minute to minute, just trying to survive these two kids.
Yeah, same dude. My baby, like more teeth are coming in right now, so she's been a fucking wreck,
God.
dude.
You don't even know. Like we had the same problem on the weekend. Last weekend we were in San Diego for a wedding, and we thought she had COVID again, but it was oh no, she just had teeth coming in. She's like, like they get a fever, they get a runny nose.
The whole thing,
We're
dude.
like, what the fuck? And no, it's just a tooth. It was like a 24-hour thing.
I don't know how like a fever comes along with like teeth coming in. I've never understood that.
Dude, my son, he never got a fever. This dude would wake up with just teeth in his mouth. Like this guy would have like a full set of teeth. We never even knew this guy even was growing teeth. Like he never drooled, nothing. Like he was never bombed. The girl, she just like always, every time, just is like we know because we think she's sick, and then it's like, oh, she just got a tooth coming in.
That's
So
wild, dude. But Yeah, we'll stay in touch, and hopefully, we can talk on the next pod, or hopefully KD comes to Phoenix in the next week or so. But
Let's see. Let's see
only
what
time
happens.
will tell. But for everybody watching, thank you for joining. If you have any questions, feel free to add us on Twitter. You can find
And
Onyx. You can
so
find me.
there was some comment. Somebody made a comment about Sopranos. Have you
Yeah.
watched Sopranos?
Like briefly, like very
Okay.
familiar with the show. I just haven't watched the whole thing.
Okay. So Sopranos is the greatest television show ever created. That's a fact. I will. So if anybody wants me to do a deep dive on anything on Sopranos, let's do it. And I'm
Okay.
challenging Jay to go back and watch the whole series or watch the parts that he's missed because there's a lot of shit in that show that is like missed by a lot of people. You have to watch it 3 or 4 times to understand it. So let's do a Sopranos thing at some point.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of done with Star Wars. Like, it's just like it's not resonating, dude. So, like,
Yeah.
I think I'll just cut Star Wars off and then just maybe dive into Sopranos, and we can talk about it and stuff and break it
Yeah.
down. I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Yeah. Let's do it. All right,
All
man.
right, man. And we'll stay in touch. All right.
Excited.
Have a good one.
Let's see you.